Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Creation Upgrade. When a daughter is born, an experience bar will appear on her head. Chapter 1. Dang dang dang. The sound of continuous hammering came from a yard in Daifeng Town, causing the surrounding neighbors to sigh, but they were helpless. Yard Zhang, a boy of 17 or 18 years old, was shirtless and wearing a black apron. He was sweating heavily and hammering a piece of red-hot iron one after another, beating it into the shape of an axe. He looked extremely focused. Brother Dao, it's almost done. Next to him, a child less than 10 years old, also shirtless and covered in charcoal dust, was working hard to pull the bellows. Seeing the axe gradually taking shape, he couldn't help but be happy. Well, the wind will get stronger. The young man Lu Dao looked calm. Seeing that the temperature of the iron block had dropped a bit, he picked it up and put it into the stove to continue burning. Okay, hoo-hoo. The fire grew bigger and bigger, and the fire surged up. Looking at the stove, in the erratic fire, the young man's expression gradually became trance-like, as if he had seen the remnant of the city that was once full of technology. That's right, Lu Dao is not from this world, he is a time traveler. Before time travel, Lu Dao was an ordinary migrant worker, living a life of leaving early and returning late. Although it was hard, he was free and had one day off a week. But after traveling through time, he became a blacksmith, and under the coercion of the axe gang, he made axes for them. He spent 12 hours, at least 5 hours, on blacksmithing, and there was no rest day. As for the reward, it was originally 200 copper coins for an axe, but it was deducted and I could only get 100 copper coins. I didn't have to worry about food and drink, but if I wanted to practice martial arts, I basically didn't have any extra copper coins to buy potions. Thinking of practicing martial arts, Lu Dao muttered silently in his heart, system. Name, Lu Dao. Cultivation, early stage of skin refining. Kung Fu, Man Niu body training, 0 50%, Thunder Fist, 0 30%. Skill, Lu's hammer technique, 0 30%. Creation point, 0. Lu Dao awakened his golden finger when he traveled through 3 years ago, a point-adding system and a system space of 1 cubic meter. He originally thought he could rely on the system to get rid of the axe gang. Unfortunately, in the past 3 days, he tried various methods, but could not figure out where to earn this fortune point. In desperation, he can only survive and help the axe gang build axes. Lu Dao, you are lazy again. I think you really don't want to live anymore. Suddenly, an angry voice came from the door of the courtyard. Before Lu Dao could say anything, the door was kicked open with a bang, and then a big man with a sinister face broke in fiercely. Lu Dao came back to his senses, his expression suddenly changed, and he said hurriedly, Brother Wang, you are not lazy, the axe is almost taking shape and is being burned. You're still making excuses, do you think I'm blind? As he spoke, Wang Jinshan prepared to rush up and beat Lu Dao. Lu Dao sighed silently, skillfully took out 10 coins and offered it with both hands. Brother Wang, calm down. The axe will be formed soon. It will be ready later. You, buy some wine. HMPH, next time, I will break your legs. Wang Jinshan put away the copper coins very naturally, gave a fierce threat, glanced at the axe, nodded with satisfaction, and then left the yard leisurely. Started wandering around Daifeng Town again. This piece of shit really doesn't give anyone a chance to survive. Lu Dao gritted his teeth secretly. Originally, half of the remuneration for making the axe was deducted by Wang Jinshan. As a result, every time this man came to make a payment, he was only paid 70 yuan for an axe. The original owner was working at a high intensity, and was deceived by Wang Jinshan one by one. He was so angry that his body and soul disappeared, allowing Lu Dao to pass through. Lu Dao also thought about resisting, but unfortunately he was not strong in force, and there were dozens of people in the axe gang, all of whom were at least in the early stages of skin refining. Everyone is stronger than him and cannot resist at all. Moreover, the people of the axe gang are ruthless. If they don't listen to them, they will be beaten, have their hands and feet broken, or even kill them directly. Even, according to the memory of the original owner, the axe gang had done more than one extermination of families. Yes, these people in the axe gang all have a way to kill themselves. This group of people is helpless in Daifeng Town and collects protection fees everywhere. Daifeng Town is full of complaints, but they have no strength to resist. As for those who have the strength to suppress the Axe Gang and have no conflict of interest with the Axe Gang, they naturally let it go. Lu Dao was currently in the early stages of skin refining, and of course he had no room for resistance. I don't even want to go to school if I want to leave town. Lu Dao felt powerless when he thought of this. As a time traveler with a system that adds points, he was so useless, which made him very unwilling. Hey, how can I earn fortune points? Lu Dao couldn't help but ask the system again, but still received silence. Broken system, I've never seen such an unreliable system. Lu Dao almost cursed. Brother Dao, the iron piece is red. The child shouted cautiously. When Wang Jinshan came in, he didn't dare to express his anger. He could only bury his head in his knees silently, not daring to look at anything. Only after Wang Jinshan left did he dare to continue blowing the bellows. He has long been accustomed to this. Lu Dao regained his composure and did not mention what happened before. He picked up the iron block and continued to forge it. Making an axe requires several procedures such as forging, filing, tempering, and polishing. Just one forging requires tens of thousands of beatings to remove all impurities and make it suitable for forging weapons. Material. After 3 days of forging, the axe is finally taking shape. After forming, the subsequent work is relatively simple. Dang dang dang. Continue beating and forging, and soon, a quarter of an hour passed. Finally, the axe took shape. This is an axe with an axe head, axe body, and axe handle integrated into one piece. The entire body is made of iron, and there is no need to make a separate axe handle. At this point, the axe is mostly completed and can be used to chop things. However, if you want to make it more usable and sharper, you still need to file, temper, and polish. Just as Lu Dao was about to continue with the next step of filing, his eyes suddenly flashed and he saw a line of words appearing above the axe head. Axe 01, a rough axe that has not been filed, tempered, or polished, and is not sharp. It is fine for cutting grass, but it is a bit laborious to chop wood. This is. Lu Dao was surprised, then delighted, and subconsciously called up the system panel. It was as he expected. Creation point 1. Seeing the increased creation points, Lu Dao almost couldn't help crying with joy. The point of good fortune, although it is late, it has arrived. Finally found a way to earn fortune points. Knowing how to earn fortune points, Lu Dao felt relaxed. He finally saw the hope of getting rid of the Axe Gang. But, what does the number on this axe mean? Could it be that the axe can also be upgraded? Is it through luck points or other methods? Lu Dao couldn't help but ponder. If it were to use the creation point, he would definitely not be willing to do so. Suddenly Lu Dao thought of something and asked the child, Ming, can you see something on this axe? Wu Ming said blankly, no. Lu Dao nodded, thinking that this should be the case, and then said nonchalantly, there are still some impurities, let me beat it again. The words and numbers on the axe made Lu Dao suspect that the axe could be upgraded, so Lu Dao continued to forge it twice to give it a try. As a result, the numbers didn't change. Is it possible to chop it? Lu Dao's expression changed, and he put the axe into the water to cool down. After it cooled down, he directly held it in his hand and lightly chopped at the wooden pier on the side. Suddenly, the words on the axe changed. Axe 1 upgradable rough axe, not tempered, polished, not sharp, good for cutting grass but a bit laborious to chop wood. Lu Dao's eyes suddenly lit up, he took a deep breath, and then said, Ming, you are hungry. Go buy something to eat. I will call you when you need it later. Lu Dao took out 3 coins and gave it to Wu Ming. This is Wu Ming's salary for helping pull the bellows. Okay, thank you, Brother Dao. After Wu Ming took the copper coins, he happily ran out of the yard to buy his favorite sesame cake. After sending Wu Ming away, Lu Dao carefully closed the door and thought silently in his heart. Upgrade. Axe 0/10 ordinary axe, a little sharp, very convenient for chopping wood and bones, but occasionally gets stuck. As Lu Dao moved his mind, the text description on the axe changed. It's upgraded. Lu Dao was overjoyed, and then he found that the axe itself was upgraded in an instant. The axe, which was originally very rough and even had black ash on it, seemed to have completed the steps of planing, tempering, and polishing in the blink of an eye, and turned into a sharp axe. The axe was very clean and there was nothing on it. This is too exaggerated. It was upgraded so simply. It saves too much time, and it can continue to upgrade. Thinking of this, Lu Dao couldn't help swallowing his saliva. As far as he knew, this martial arts world attaches great importance to weapons. Ordinary weapons are naturally not very lethal, but entry-level weapons have amazing lethality, especially those high-level weapons, which can destroy mountains and rivers when swung. If the axe I made can be upgraded to a high level, then I can be invincible with just the weapon, not to mention that there are also good luck points to improve skills. Lu Dao thought the system was useless before, but now it seems so good. Lu Dao subconsciously glanced at the system, and the system gave him another surprise. Good luck points, 2. The system's good luck points actually increased by 1 point. Lu Dao was very excited, so, this can also increase good luck points. As long as the axe is upgraded, he can get good luck points, which makes Lu Dao almost unable to help but continue to chop the wooden block to upgrade the axe. But after thinking about it, he still held back. At present, this axe can be handed in after the upgrade. If it is upgraded again, the quality will be improved, which will bring him unnecessary trouble. That's right, since forging an axe can get good fortune points, what about forging other things? Lu Dao looked at the axe in his hand and thought, even, not only forging things, can making other things also get good fortune points? When he thought of this, Lu Dao couldn't wait to start trying. It was also very simple to verify the idea in his mind. Lu Dao prepared to make a pair of chopsticks, which would not take much time. Click. Lu Dao directly broke off a branch in the yard, then used a knife to remove the bark and cut one end a little smaller. Soon, a pair of 2 wooden roots of the same length were ready. Chopsticks. 0/1 rough chopsticks, seemingly useful, but in fact useless, using them to eat can easily lead to bloody disasters. Lu Dao didn't care about the introduction of chopsticks, and looked directly at the system. Sure enough, the luck points were added again. Lucky points, 3. Lu Dao felt the blood in his body boiling uncontrollably, and his heartbeat accelerated wildly, thumping. This is the correct way to open the system. Lu Dao kept taking deep breaths to force himself to calm down. There is no doubt that through trial and error, Lu Dao already knew that there are at least 2 ways to earn luck points. 1. Make items. Whether it is making weapons or making other items, you can get luck points. 2. Use items. Accumulate experience points, let the items upgrade items to gain good fortune points. Among them, crafting items is relatively more time-consuming, while upgrading items seems to be able to continuously gain good fortune points. In fact, if you want to quickly gain good fortune points, you can also make toothpicks, but it is a bit difficult to upgrade toothpicks, mainly because I am afraid I dare not use the toothpicks I made. As for the experience of chopsticks, do you need to eat or just turn the food to gain experience? Lu Dao picked up the chopsticks in his hand, came to the doghouse on the side, and used the chopsticks to quickly turn the dog trough. The big black dog who was sleeping soundly on the side suddenly widened his eyes. Woof woof woof, what are you doing? Lu Dao ignored it and stared at the words on the chopsticks, not blinking. As expected, it changed. Woof woof woof, you want to steal my food. Shaoshan, stop it. Lu Dao comforted the big black dog. The big black dog originally had no name. After Lu Dao crossed over, he directly named it Shaoshan Dog. Mainly because he had a golden finger when he first came, or added some system, Lu Dao was full of energy and believed that he would soon rise to become an existence like Erlang Shen, or even surpass him. In this case, what's wrong with him raising a big black dog like Shaoshan Dog? As a result, he was slapped in the face on the day of crossing over. Fortunately, the system finally gave him candied dates. Chopsticks. 1/1 upgradable rough chopsticks, seemingly useful, but actually useless, easy to have blood when used for eating disaster of light. Upgrade. The next moment, the rough chopsticks became smooth in front of Lu Dao, and some of the wooden sticks on the chopsticks disappeared. Similarly, the introduction text on the chopsticks also changed. Chopsticks. 0/10 ordinary household chopsticks, very convenient for eating. Lucky points. 4. As expected, the lucky points also increased. Do you want to see the limit of the chopstick upgrade? Lu Dao thought. He had to hand in the axe. Of course it was not easy to try, but for chopsticks, there was no such worry. Do it when you think of it. Lu Dao kept fiddling in the dog trough, and seemed to be distracted. Even the food was turned out of the dog trough. Woof woof woof. Are you crazy? That's my dinner. Seeing that Lu Dao had no intention of stopping, Roaring Sky Dog rushed forward and bit Lu Dao's arm fiercely. Hey, loosen your mouth, you silly dog, loosen your mouth. Even though he had reached the early stage of leather refining, Lu Dao couldn't help but bared his teeth after taking this bite from the big black dog. Woof woof woof. I'll bite you to death if you dare to mess with my dinner. Silly dog, if you don't let go, I'll chop you. I've long wanted to eat dog meat to replenish my health. The axe slipped in Lu Dao's hand, and it immediately hit the big black dog's neck. Woo, relax. Roaring Sky Dog opened his mouth angrily and let Lu Dao continue to turn over it. Finally, he couldn't bear it anymore and turned his head away. He just let out a whine in protest from the side. Within 10 seconds, the experience points were full again. Upgrade. The light on the chopsticks turned, and the entire pair of chopsticks became smooth and clean, with better texture. When holding the chopsticks, I didn't feel any pinching or stiffness in my hands. Chopsticks. 0/100 high-quality chopsticks, not easy to break. Use these chopsticks to eat, you will feel much happier. Creation point. 6. Looking at the creation points, Lu Dao was surprised. 2 points have been added this time. Could it be? Lu Dao's mood, which had just calmed down, became excited again. Phew, keep trying. A few minutes later. Upgrade. Chopsticks. 0/1000 already advanced to the 9th level, low grade. If you use this chopsticks to eat, you can't help but move your index finger even if you don't like the food, and you will no longer have difficulty choosing meals. The item has entered a level, just like a monk begins to have a cultivation level. The 9th level corresponds to the realm of skin refining. The realms of cultivation in the martial arts world are divided into skin refining, blood refining, bone refining, viscera refining, innate, grandmaster, divine platform, martial king, and martial god. These 9 realms correspond to the 9th level of items. The 9th level low-grade product corresponds to the early stage of skin refining. Lu Dao didn't know whether the upgrade limit of chopsticks was related to his own level, but he would know after trying it. Creation point. 9. To Lu Dao's surprise, this upgrade added a little more luck points. Obviously, every time an item is upgraded to another level, the points of creation will be 1 more, at least for now. This made Lu Dao very satisfied. Next, Lu Dao continued to explore. As a result, while messing with the food in the dog trough, Lu Dao's desire to eat became stronger and stronger. He was so frightened that Lu Dao quickly stopped, returned to the kitchen, poured a bowl of leftover rice into a wooden basin, and started stirring quickly. Although he still wanted to eat, Lu Dao forced himself to hold back. Half an hour later. Chopsticks. 1000 already entered the 9th level, lower grade. Use these chopsticks to eat. Even if you don't like food, you can't help but eat it, and you will no longer have difficulty choosing meals. Sure enough, the item upgrade limit corresponds to my cultivation level. After this attempt, Lu Dao finally had a clearer understanding of his system. The next step is to add some time. System, Man Niu's physical training, give me some extra points. Maniu body training skill, 0/5 small success. Adding a panel will show the progress bar of exercises and skills. Currently, Maniu body training technique only needs to spend 5 points of creation to be promoted to the realm of Shaocheng. It also means that the original owner's 2 previous skills and 1 hammering technique are actually just beginners. It has to be said that his talent is very poor. Following Lu Dao's thought, Maniu's physical training skills were instantly completed. Name, Lu Dao. Cultivation, early stage of skin refining. Kung Fu, Man Niu body training, 0/10 mastery, Thunder Fist, 0/3 minor success. Skill, Lu's hammer technique, 0/3 small success. Creation point. 4. Maniu's physical training technique has reached the level of minor achievement, and he needs 10 more points of creation to advance to the level of proficiency. In an instant, Lu Dao seemed to have had an enlightenment, and his understanding of the Maniu physical training skills skyrocketed. Many things he didn't understand before were now instantly understood in his heart. Of course, there are still many ambiguities about Man Niu's physical training. According to the memory of the original owner, Kung Fu is generally divided into 5 levels: beginner, small success, mastery, dacheng and perfection. Correspondingly, the comprehension levels of the corresponding exercises at the 5 levels are generally 10%, 30%, 50%, 70% and 100%. Therefore, Lu Dao is still a long way from fully understanding the Man Niu body training technique. Try practicing. Lu Dao calmed down, adjusted his breathing, put his hands on his chest, and slowly sank from top to bottom. At the same time, he made a sound like a cow roaring in his mouth as he breathed. Put your hands on the inner thighs, then move from bottom to top in a hugging position, slowly lift them up, and then make a mooing sound with your breathing. In the blink of an eye, a quarter of an hour passed. A quarter of an hour of practice is almost equivalent to half an hour before. It is obvious that the proficiency level has only increased by 20%, but the practice speed has increased by nearly 4 times. This gap is too big. If I fully understand the Man Niu body training technique, the training speed will probably increase by more than 10 times. Lu Dao was very satisfied with the effect of the improved technique. Continue to be creative. Next, Lu Dao broke all the dry branches in the yard, started making chopsticks, and then upgraded them. The points of creation are also constantly increasing. Time passed, and at dusk, Wang Jinshan walked to the door, looking unhappy, as if he had encountered something unhappy. Axe. Lu Dao had already noticed Wang Jinshan's arrival. As soon as Wang Jinshan opened his mouth, Lu Dao handed over the axe. Wang Jinshan casually threw a piece of iron on the ground and threw a bunch of copper coins on Lu Dao before taking the axe and saying, "Click your reward." "Thank you, Brother Wang." Lu Dao quickly caught the copper coins and counted them, only 90 coins. This person unexpectedly withheld another 10 cents. Lu Dao knew that this person had a gambling habit, so he guessed that he might have lost money in gambling and wanted to find some losses from him. Wang Jinshan stared at Lu Dao with a half smile and asked, "How are you doing? Are you young?" Lu Dao shook his head and said, "No." Lu Dao didn't want to offend Wang Jinshan. He had the advantage. When his cultivation level improved, he would get back his money with profits. Wang Jinshan raised his eyebrows slightly, a little surprised. He felt that Lu Dao was particularly easy to talk to these days. In the past, Lu Dao had a bad temper and was punished by him many times, but he just didn't have a long memory. "Do you have a long memory now?" Wang Jinshan felt bored. He originally lost money in gambling and wanted to make more money from Lu Dao, but Lu Dao didn't give him a chance. Wang Jinshan glanced at Lu Dao, who was very sensible, sneered, and left the yard without further trouble. Lu Dao's face gradually darkened as he looked at Wang Jinshan's leaving figure. "I endured the calm for a while, but took a step back and became more and more angry the more I thought about it." After pondering for a long time, Lu Dao raised his head and glanced at the newly emerged moon, and murmured, "The moonlight is getting darker tonight, which is suitable for killing people." The words fell. Lu Dao returned to the room, took out the 950 copper coins that the original owner had saved before, as well as the deed to the yard, and went out. Half an hour later, Lu Dao came back with a bottle of potion and 3 secret books of exercises. After closing the door, Lu Dao sat on the bed, his consciousness immersed in the system panel. Creation point 214. After hard work in the afternoon, Lu Dao made a total of 30 pairs of chopsticks, and all of them were upgraded to the entry level. Each pair of chopsticks brought Lu Dao 7 fortune points. Lu Dao muttered silently. System, Maniu exercises, add some points. Maniu body training technique, 0/15 great success. More, Maniu body training, 0/25 perfect. Keep adding. Man Niu body exercise perfection. After spending 50 points of creation one after another, Maniu's body training skills progressed from minor success to proficiency, then to great success, and finally to the state of perfection. In an instant, a large number of training methods, postures, breathing rhythms, etc. about the Man Niu physical exercise appeared in his mind. Lu Dao only felt a pain in his head, as if something suddenly broke into his brain arbitrarily. This pain lasted for more than 10 seconds before disappearing. After calming down, Lu Dao began to try to practice. Boom. At the moment of practicing, Lu Dao felt that the vitality of heaven and earth around him came to him like a tide, and attached to his skin one after another. With his breathing and movements, these vitality of heaven and earth gradually melted into the skin, increasing the strength of the skin. Not only that, when he was practicing, his breathing was very comfortable, without the slightest awkward feeling of forcing a different breathing method, and when he moved, it was in perfect harmony with his breathing. As for the posture and movements, they were very smooth, as if he had practiced countless times and had already become muscle memory. After only practicing for a quarter of an hour, Lu Dao felt that the effect of his practice was comparable to that of several hours in the past, and the speed of practice was definitely more than 10 times faster. This is called practice. Lu Dao was very excited, and then quickly stripped off his body, then poured out the potion in the medicine bottle and applied it all over his body. This is a potion specially used to temper the skin and flesh. It is made of turtle shells, pangolin skins, and many herbs, and is very expensive. In the porcelain bottle, only a small half was filled, about 10 milliliters, 1,000 copper coins, or 1 or 2 taels of silver. Ordinary families can't afford it at all. Lu Dao applied the potion all over his body, and finally poured it twice with clean water, pouring out all the potion without wasting it at all. After a few minutes, a burning sensation appeared all over his body. Lu Dao did not delay any longer and began to practice the bull body refining technique. Breath, inhale. As Lu Dao's breathing rose and fell, the potion entered from his pores, moving in and out of his skin and flesh, and continuously tempering him. If it was before, because of the insufficient understanding of the bull body refining technique and the lack of control over the potion, most of the potion would enter the body and be digested, and almost 90% would be wasted. But now, the bull body refining technique of the perfect realm can fully control the potion, allowing it to continuously shuttle through the skin and flesh, and the drug effect is completely applied to the skin and flesh, without wasting a single cent. Half an hour passed in a breath. Buzz. Suddenly, Lu Dao felt a slight shock all over his body, and his skin and flesh seemed to have undergone some kind of transformation, and a strong feeling came to his mind. Breakthrough, the middle stage of skin refining. Lu Dao pulled his arm and felt that his skin and flesh were tougher, far from being comparable to the early stage of skin refining before. Lu Dao looked at the system. Name, Lu Dao. Cultivation, middle stage of skin refining. Kung Fu, Thunder Fist 0/3 minor success bull body refining Kung Fu perfect. Skills, Lu's hammer technique 0/3 minor success. Lucky points, 164. The bull body refining Kung Fu with perfect points was placed at the end of the Kung Fu by the system. In addition, Lu Dao also found that the system space had also increased. When it first appeared, it was only 1 cubic meter, but now it has become 8 cubic meters, and the length, width and height have increased by 1 meter each. With such strength, it is not enough to kill Wang Jinshan. Lu Dao took out the 3 Kung Fu books that he had obtained in exchange for the house deed. Wang Jinshan was too cruel and always found various ways to defraud him. Lu Dao knew that as long as he went to buy potions today, the news would reach Wang Jinshan's ears tomorrow. Rather than letting Wang Jinshan continue to defraud, it would be better to cut the Gordian knot and get rid of Wang Jinshan tonight. Lu Dao relied on these 3 Kung Fu books. Yunyu Shenfa, Cloak Sword Technique, and Star Chasing Arrow Technique. The 3 secret books of martial arts are all at the middle level of Huang class. Each book costs 10 taels of silver. Lu Dao used the house deed as a mortgage in exchange. If he does not collect 30 taels of silver within 3 months, his yard will change owners. Lu Dao didn't care at all about this. Lu Dao calmed down and silently read the 3 secret books of exercises. Time passed quickly, and half an hour later, all 3 books of exercises were read. Yunyu Shenfa 0/1 entry level, Cloak Sword Technique 0/1 entry level, Star Chasing Arrow Technique 0/1 entry level. Creation point 164. Add some cloud movement skills. Creation point -1, Introduction to Shenfa. Creation point -5, Body skill is small. Creation point -10, Proficient in movement. Creation point -15, Perfect body technique. Creation point -25, Body technique is perfect. Yunyu Shenfa perfection. After Yunyu Shenfa was perfected, Lu Dao got used to the pain in his mind, and then he couldn't wait to perform it in the room. The body moves with the heart. Lu Dao seemed to have turned into a shadow, moving quickly in the room, his figure floating up and down, left and right. This reminded Lu Dao of Lingbo Weibo, and the two were quite similar. Creation point 108. With the addition of the cloud traveling technique, 56 points of creation were directly consumed from entry to perfection. The creation points are a bit insufficient. Lu Dao frowned a little, and there were still 2 skills that he had not added points to upgrade. After thinking about it, he first filled up the star-chasing arrow skill, and then continued to add the cloak sword skill. After adding some points, name, Lu Dao, cultivation, middle stage of skin refining. Skills, cloak sword technique, 0.25 perfection, thunder fist 0.3 small success, barbarian bull body training technique perfection, Yunyu Shenfa perfection, star-chasing arrow technique perfection. Skill, Lu's hammer technique, 0.3 small success. Creation point 21. After adding the points, Lu Dao got up and returned to the yard. He cut off a section of the bamboo pole that usually supported his clothes and combined it with cloth strips to make a simple bow. Bow 0/1 inferior longbow is just a child's toy. The arrows shot with a half bow will not exceed 2 meters. A full bow doesn't exist. Lu Dao was about to gain experience to upgrade. After thinking about it, he spent another 9 points of creation to increase Lu's hammer technique to mastery, and then started to burn fire and refine arrows. Dang dang dang. The familiar sound of hammering soon sounded in the Lu family's yard, and the neighbors were already accustomed to it. The improvement of his hammering skills made Lu Dao more comfortable at hammering iron blocks. After just a few minutes, a rough arrowhead was finished. Lu Dao then used bamboo strips on bamboo poles and combined them with arrowheads to form a simple arrow. Arrows 0/1 low-quality arrows, easily broken, junk toys that even children will not play with. Lu Dao. Ignoring the system's ridicule, Lu Dao knelt down, gently pulled up the long bow, and carefully released the arrow. With a snap, the arrow landed gently, but ended up splitting into 2 parts. At the same time, the words on the arrow disappeared. Quote ? Lu Dao was speechless, and quickly combined the arrow and arrow shaft together again, and the text reappeared. Arrow 1/1 upgradable. Upgrade together. Bow 0/10 an ordinary longbow. With good elasticity, the arrow can shoot over 50 meters when the bow is full. Arrows 0/10 ordinary arrows are not very lethal, the material is not tough enough, the sound of breaking through the air is loud, and it is easy for the enemy to avoid them. With the upgrade, bows and arrows have undergone transformation, and the originally crudely made bows and arrows have become useful. At least Lu Dao thinks they should be good for hunting. Lu Dao continued to draw his bow and shoot arrows. 2 minutes later, the bows and arrows were upgraded one after another, and they had all reached the advanced level. Bow 0/1000 advanced, low-grade 9th level, full of elasticity, not easy to break. The arrow can shoot over 500 meters when the bow is full, and the speed can reach up to 300 per second. Arrow 0/1000 advanced, low-grade 9th level, powerful in lethality. Arrows are tough enough and can easily penetrate the body of ordinary people. It's almost as fast as the speed of sound. It's about the same speed as an ordinary pistol. At such a fast speed, ordinary people can't dodge it. Even those who are in the realm of leather refining and have poor body skills can easily pierce it with one arrow. Lu Dao was a little surprised. He didn't expect that the bow and arrow after entering the level would be so terrifying. After pondering for a while, Lu Dao continued to gain experience just to be on the safe side. Since he decided to kill Wang Jinshan, he had to be as sure as possible. Wang Jinshan had already entered the middle stage of skin refining for several years, and was probably not far from the late stage of skin refining. He didn't know whether he could succeed with a 9th level low-grade bow and arrow. If it is the 9th level mid-level, the success will be even greater. Experience +1, +1. 20 minutes later, it was upgraded again. Bow 0/10,000 middle grade 9th level, with amazing elasticity, almost difficult for ordinary people to pull. The arrow shot from the full bow can exceed 1,000 meters, and the speed can reach up to 600 per second. Arrow 0.10,000ths middle grade 9th level, amazing penetrating power, can easily shoot through walls. It's faster than a bullet. At such a speed, Wang Jinshan, how can you hide? Lu Dao couldn't help but smile. Creation point. 34. Make a bow and arrow, and upgrade it to the 9th level middle grade. Each item brings Lu Dao 11 points of luck. System, add points. Fortune points minus 25. Cloak sword technique perfect. This is a defensive sword technique. When the sword technique is used, waves will blow around the body, protecting oneself tightly, making it difficult for the enemy to attack. Name, Lu Dao. Cultivation. Leather refining intermediate stage. Kung Fu. Thunder Fist 0/3 minor success. Bull body refining Kung Fu perfect. Wandering body skill perfect. Star chasing arrow skill perfect. Cloak sword skill perfect. Skill. Lu's hammer skill 0/9 major success. Lucky points 9. After adding points, Lu Dao took out the red hot iron block, hammered it for a while, and threw it into the stove. The moon is dark and the wind is high, it's a night for killing. Lu Dao glanced at the sky, went into the house and washed off the smell of medicine on his body. He changed into a black short-sleeved shirt, covered his face, put the bow, arrows, a rusty longsword, and some precious things into the system space, then quietly climbed over the wall and left the yard, and moved towards Wang Jinshan's house. Lu Dao made preparations for both situations. If the assassination succeeds, he can continue to live here. If the assassination fails, he can rely on his perfect Yunyu body skills to take advantage of the night and escape from Daifeng Town with the big black dog, and come back to take revenge later. Yunyu body skills are used, and there is no sound when walking. Lu Dao is like a ghost, without causing any movement, and he came to the outside of Wang Jinshan's yard a moment later. Lu Dao lightly leapt up the side wall of Wang Jinshan's yard, and through the wooden window, he saw Wang Jinshan concentrating on practicing with his eyes closed. Good opportunity. Lu Dao silently took out the bow and arrow, exerted all his strength, slowly pulled about a half a moon, looked solemn, and then released his right hand. Whoosh! The arrow instantly broke away from the longbow, and a sharp sound of breaking through the air suddenly sounded, penetrating the wooden window and shooting towards Wang Jinshan. Wang Jinshan reacted very quickly, and instinctively felt sensing danger. He wanted to dodge, but unfortunately, the arrow was too fast, and the sound of breaking through the air and the arrow appeared in his ears almost at the same time. Puff! Wang Jinshan had no time to react at all. The arrow went straight through his neck, carrying his body away, and then passed through the wall and disappeared. Bang! Wang Jinshan fell to the ground, his head and body separated, with a trace of confusion on his face, as if he didn't understand what happened. The next moment, a figure stood in front of him. Wang Jinshan, who was not dead yet, suddenly widened his eyes and looked at Li in disbelief. Through his mouth shape, Lu Dao identified what he said, "It's you." Wang Jinshan didn't seem to expect that Lu Dao would kill him. Lu Dao, who was easily controlled by him in the past, dared to assassinate him, and succeeded. This made him unacceptable. "I'm going to kill you." Wang Jinshan's eyes were fierce. Even in such a situation, he was still extremely ferocious, as if he wanted to eat Lu Dao alive, but unfortunately he couldn't speak. Lu Dao stood in front of Wang Jinshan's head with an expressionless face, looking at him silently. Lu Dao had no guilt at all for killing Wang Jinshan. This man had killed many people in Daifeng Town and had participated in the massacre of a whole family. "Lu Dao, you will not die well." As waves of dizziness came, all of Wang Jinshan's expressions turned into deep fear and unwillingness. He only had time to utter a silent curse in his heart, and then gradually lost his voice. Seeing Wang Jinshan's death, Lu Dao did not delay any longer and quickly searched the room. As a result, he only found a few medicine bottles and a few taels of silver. You deducted so much money from me, and there is only this little left. Gambling dogs really lose money. Quote. Lu Dao cursed inwardly, quickly put away the medicine bottle and silver, and seeing that there was no other valuables, Lu Dao ran to the backyard to retrieve the arrows. Lu Dao was surprised to find that the experience of the arrows increased by 100. Is it more experience to kill people with arrows? Lu Dao was thoughtful, but did not investigate further, and quietly climbed over the wall and left. A moment later, Lu Dao returned to the yard and put the things back to their original places in an orderly manner, but some things that could not see the light were still placed in the system space. Then he continued to forge iron. Ding ding ding. The crisp sound of forging iron sounded in a corner of Dafeng town, and some figures of the Axe Gang gradually appeared near Wang Jinshan's house. Bang! Lu Dao was forging iron when suddenly the door of the yard was kicked open by someone and the door was directly broken. Then, a group of Axe Gang members rushed in. Just as Lu Dao was about to speak, he saw a burly man in his 40s, 1.8 meters tall, glanced at him and said in a deep voice, "Stand aside and don't move." Lu Dao had no choice but to stand aside obediently. Lu Dao knew this man, named Yang Feng, who was extremely powerful and in the late stage of skin refining, and could be ranked in the top 5 in the entire Axe Gang. This man was extremely lustful and had ruined no less than 10 decent women. Some of them could not bear the humiliation and committed suicide. Some family members went to the Axe Gang to ask for an explanation, but were brutally killed by this man. He was a complete bully. At Yang Feng's signal, the other 3 members of the Axe Gang broke into Lu Dao's room, kitchen, and even the toilet and doghouse without saying a word, searching everywhere, trying to find something. Listening to the rummaging in the room, Lu Dao showed a little dissatisfaction, but he could only endure it silently. Yang Feng glanced and found nothing unusual. Soon, the Axe Gang came out one after another, all shaking their heads at Yang Feng. Obviously, after searching for a while, nothing was found. Yang Feng glanced at Lu Dao and asked casually, "Did you find any unusual movement just now?" "No." Lu Dao shook his head. Yang Feng nodded silently, without saying much, and left the yard with a group of people, and continued to the next house to search for another person who had a grudge with Wang Jinshan. Wang Jinshan had made many enemies in Dafeng town, and many people had the motive and strength to kill him. Relatively speaking, Lu Dao's suspicion was much smaller. It could even be ignored. After all, Lu Dao was only 17 years old, and his cultivation strength was limited. It was impossible for him to kill Wang Jinshan. Besides, according to what the Axe Gang found at the murder scene, the murderer shot Wang Jinshan with a bow and arrow, and the arrow could penetrate the wall, which was obviously an advanced weapon. Lu Dao's family had never owned such a weapon. As for forging, the Axe Gang directly ruled out this possibility. The Axe Gang knew very well about Lu Dao's casting ability. He could not forge an advanced weapon at all, and could only forge ordinary weapons, not even a better one. In fact, after the search, the Axe Gang did not find anything, and there was no trace of bows and arrows buried in the toilet. The Axe Gang naturally would not waste time here with Lu Dao. After Yang Feng and others left, Lu Dao returned to the room. Seeing that clothes and bedding were thrown randomly on the ground, and most of the pots and pans were broken, Lu Dao couldn't help but start to get angry. This is a group of bandits. In other words, he really didn't have any good things, otherwise, they would definitely be taken away by this group of people. Lu Dao quietly packed up everything, repaired the gate, and then took out the potion he got from Wang Jinshan's house and began to practice. Only when his strength is improved can he be fearless. Now he is in the middle stage of skin refining, with several yellow-level middle-grade body movements and swordsmanship. He is not afraid of anyone facing the middle stage of skin refining of the Axe Gang, but Lu Dao is a little unsure about the late stage of skin refining. Therefore, Lu Dao is eager to quickly improve his cultivation and strength. Applying the potion all over his body, Lu Dao gradually immersed himself in cultivation. On the other side, the martial arts shop in Dafeng town. The boss He Zongming is an old man in his 70s, but he looks only 50 years old. He is still radiant, without a single white hair, and very healthy. He is one of the few masters of blood refining in Dafeng town. The Axe Gang searched the houses everywhere, and such a big movement naturally alarmed him. After asking, he learned that Wang Jinshan was assassinated. Although he was surprised, he didn't care too much. A small axe helped a vagrant, so he died. However, when he heard that he was shot with a bow and arrow, for some reason, He Zongming instantly thought of Lu Dao, who had just exchanged the star-chasing arrow technique from his shop with the house deed as collateral not long ago. However, it was only more than an hour since Lu Dao exchanged the skills. What can he do with this time? It is impossible that he could understand the star-chasing arrow technique in an hour and then kill Wang Jinshan with this arrow technique, right? If Lu Dao had such a perceptiveness, how could he waste more than 10 years in Daifeng Town? He couldn't even avenge his parents. And Lu Dao couldn't take out the advanced bow and arrow. Thinking of this, He Zongming couldn't help shaking his head, but once this guess appeared, it kept lingering in his mind and couldn't be shaken off. He had to think more. But the more he thought about it, the more possible it seemed. If it wasn't Lu Dao, why would he exchange the house deed for the technique? He Zongming had thought Lu Dao's move was strange before, and now that he thought about it, it was indeed too unreasonable. Could it be really him? He was shocked when he thought of this possibility. If it was true, it would be more than incredible, it would be like a fairy tale. Not only did he comprehend the middle-grade yellow-level star-chasing arrow technique in just 1 hour, but he was also able to create an entry-level weapon. This is not a genius, it's simply a monster. Perhaps the sky of Daifeng Town is going to change. He Zongming glanced at the axe gang who was asking in the pawn shop, murmured, then turned back to the shop, put the house deed that Lu Dao had brought in his arms, and destroyed the document directly. Just now, he lay on the chair and hummed a little song as if nothing had happened. As if he knew nothing, he naturally ignored everything. Breathe, inhale. As the technique was running and his breathing changed, Lu Dao controlled the potion to continuously temper his skin and flesh, allowing it to improve little by little. With the perfect state of the barbarian bull body refining technique, plus the absorption of 100% of the medicinal effect, Lu Dao's cultivation speed is now much faster than before. The difference is huge. The effect of cultivation is dozens of times different. When a bottle of potion was used up, Lu Dao did not stop and continued to use the second bottle. If the technique is not fully understood, then after the cultivation level is just improved, it will take some time to familiarize the body to avoid mistakes in the practice process, which will lead to the situation of going crazy or unstable foundation. But Lu Dao does not have this problem. The barbarian bull body refining technique has been fully understood. When practicing, Lu Dao can adjust his breathing at any time according to the amount of medicinal effect absorbed by the body, and going crazy will not occur at all. As for the unstable foundation, it was even more impossible. Every time Lu Dao tempered his skin and flesh, he allowed the medicinal effect to be fully absorbed, and allowed the skin and flesh to be tempered repeatedly so that it could advance naturally. He did not force it to advance when it could be advanced. Now the practice of the middle stage of skin refining is still the same. Lu Dao would not force a breakthrough, as that would destroy his future and was not a wise move. Now that the axe gang could not find him for the time being, Lu Dao was not in a hurry, and he steadily improved his strength in an orderly manner. Just like this, 1 bottle, 2 bottles, 3 bottles. Time passed, and an hour and a half passed in a blink of an eye, and it was already late at night. Buzz. Lu Dao felt like his skin and flesh were electrified, and he felt a burst of numbness, which passed in a flash. Lu Dao knew that he had broken through. In just a few hours, he broke through the realms one after another, from the previous early stage of skin refining to the middle stage of skin refining, and after killing Wang Jinshan, he broke through to the late stage of skin refining. If this were to be told to others, no one in Daifeng Town would believe it. Name: Lu Dao. Cultivation: late skin refining. Kung Fu: Thunder Fist 0/3 minor success. Bull body refining perfect. Wandering body technique perfect. Star chasing arrow technique perfect. Cloak sword technique perfect. Skills: Lu's hammer technique 0/9 major success. Lucky points 9. Lu Dao glanced at the system and stopped being distracted. He continued to perform the body refining technique, absorbing and refining the remaining half of the medicinal effect between the skin and flesh to stabilize his cultivation level. After a while, Lu Dao finished his training and ended his training. Tonight, he had practiced for more than an hour and used 3 bottles of potion. Now there is only 1 bottle left. It is obviously impossible to break through the skin refining realm and reach the blood refining realm. However, with the cultivation of the late skin refining, combined with body techniques, sword techniques, and arrow techniques, Lu Dao is no longer that a young man who is at the mercy of others. Finally, I have some self-protection power. After taking a cold shower, Lu Dao told the big black dog to wake him up when he heard any noise. Lu Dao was worried that the axe gang would come to his house in the middle of the night. Although the possibility was small, it was better to be careful. By the way, do I need to build a better house? Otherwise, it would be too frustrating to be attacked from a distance and shot to death like Wang Jinshan. But a house that is just a little stronger is not enough. What if someone poisons it? It also needs to be able to prevent poison. So it seems that we need to arrange a formation. By the way, it would be better if it can shrink in size and make an intelligent housekeeper. Forget it, it's a bit far away. Let's go to sleep. Lu Dao took a nap while imagining the future. He didn't dare to sleep too deeply. He could only take a light nap tonight. Early the next morning, before dawn, Lu Dao got up early to practice. With the Maniu exercise at the perfect state, Lu Dao can control the volume of his mooing at will without disturbing his neighbors. Half an hour later, the last bottle of potion was consumed. After a brief wash, Lu Dao took advantage of the light and went to the elixir shop to buy a few bottles of potion. At this time, the Axe gang were all exhausted from last night's extensive search, fell into a deep sleep, and had not yet gotten up. Lu Dao was not worried about being seen by the Axe gang and arousing suspicion. On the way back, Lu Dao happened to bump into the boss He Zongming opening the door when he passed by the kung fu shop. They greeted each other without saying anything, but He Zongming became more convinced of his suspicions. Lu Dao didn't care either. When he took out the house deed in exchange for the exercises, he was already prepared to be suspected by He Zongming, and he believed that a man like He Zongming, who had lived for decades, would never inform the Axe gang. First of all, there is almost no interest exchange between the kung fu shop and the Axe gang, so he does not need to curry favor with the Axe gang. Secondly, Lu Dao was able to improve so much in a short period of time, so he did not dare to offend easily for fear of being retaliated against later. In fact, as Lu Dao suspected, He Zongming did not report him. At this time, He Zongming would rather offend the Axe gang than Lu Dao, who suddenly became unpredictable. After returning home, Lu Dao ate 2 steamed buns, and then continued practicing without any delay. It wasn't until Wu Ming ran over to help light the fire that Lu Dao slowly came out of the room. "Brother Dao, you slept in today." Wu Ming is only 8 years old and very lively. His family is not very wealthy. He usually studies in school and comes to help during holidays. Lu Dao was also generous and gave him 3 wen a day for his help. Of course, he was limited to helping light the fire, and he couldn't do other things. "Oh, I'm too tired from blacksmithing. I want to sleep more." Lu Dao stretched and asked casually, "Xiaoming, what are you going to do in the future? Do you want Brother Dao to teach you blacksmithing?" Wu Ming shook his head and said, "I want to practice martial arts, but..." He lowered his head as he said that his family had no money and could not afford to buy the secret books of exercises, especially body training exercises, which were usually more expensive than knife skills, sword skills, boxing manuals, etc., so they couldn't even afford them. Lu Dao touched Wu Ming's head and said, "Work hard, you will have a chance in the future." "Yeah, I will." Lu Dao did not directly say that he wanted to teach Wu Ming to practice martial arts. The original owner didn't teach it because Man Niu body exercise was passed down to him by his father. He spent half his life's accumulation to buy it. How could he pass it on to others so easily? Moreover, there are also regulations and restrictions imposed by the Kung Fu shop. Kung Fu techniques like theirs bought from the Kung Fu shop are not allowed to be passed on to outsiders. Once discovered, both parties will need to pay a large sum of money. Lu Dao himself doesn't care, but the hidden danger of the Axe gang has not been solved yet, and he doesn't want to cause trouble. Of course, it only takes a day or 2. You light the fire first, and I'll chop some firewood and come back. Lu Dao warned, went out with his axe, and soon came back with a large bundle of dry firewood. Then, as before, break it into wooden sticks of almost the same length, prepare to make chopsticks, and obtain fortune points. "Brother Dao, what are you doing?" Wu Ming pulled the bellows, tilted his head and asked curiously. "Made into chopsticks and sold for money." Wu Ming pursed his lips and said, "Brother Dao, forget it. If you can't make chopsticks with dry wood, no one will buy them." Lu Dao smiled and did not explain. After a while, the iron block was burned, and Lu Dao began to forge the iron, and then asked Wu Ming to help him cut branches. Wu Ming was helpless and wanted to continue to remind Brother Dao, but seeing that he was concentrating on blacksmithing, he could only work honestly. In fact, Lu Dao did this mainly because he wanted to try and find out whether making an item requires him to complete all the steps, or whether he can only complete the last step. The other thing is to gain experience. Is it feasible for other people to help gain experience? Lu Dao quickly got the answer. Feasible. Whether it's helping to craft items or gain experience, others can help. Moreover, what surprised Lu Dao even more was that he discovered that when the experience of an item is full, it can continue to increase. Chopsticks. 3/1 can be upgraded. Rough chopsticks may seem useful, but are actually useless. They can easily lead to bloody disasters when used for eating. Looking at the text introduction on the chopsticks in Wu Ming's hand, Lu Dao was very happy. This was an unexpected surprise. When Lu Dao gained experience before, whenever he had enough experience and could upgrade, he directly chose to upgrade without thinking too much about it. Unexpectedly, Wu Ming stirred the wooden basin for a few times, and he discovered that the experience could be used regardless of the level. Level restrictions. That way, it will be more convenient. Lu Dao was secretly happy, and then handed a large bundle of chopsticks to Wu Ming, asking him to hold the chopsticks and stir them in the wooden basin. Brother Dao, these chopsticks are really useless. This is just dry firewood. Wu Ming looked puzzled, unable to understand the significance of the task given to him by Brother Dao, and even wanted to refuse. But when Lu Dao took out 5 cents, Wu Ming happily held the wooden stick and stirred vigorously in a large basin of water mixed with only half a bowl of rice. Seeing the rapid growth of his experience with chopsticks, Lu Dao looked happy. The Axe Gang. A group of people searched late into the night yesterday but found nothing. At this time, everyone in the Axe Gang gathered together to discuss the murder of Wang Jinshan. In fact, the Axe Gang suspected whether it was done by other blood refining masters in Dafeng Town, and wanted to eradicate the Axe Gang members one by one. However, this speculation was directly denied by Shen Guangxi, the think tank of the Axe Gang. There are only a few blood refining realms in Dafeng Town, and the others basically have no conflict of interest with the Axe Gang. There is only one person who wants to eradicate the Axe Gang, and that is the mayor of Dafeng Town. Unfortunately, the mayor has neither the strength nor the courage. Even though he has the realm of blood refining, he doesn't dare to fight against the Axe Gang unless he doesn't care about the life and death of his family. What's more, with his nearly 80-year-old body, he is no match for the leader of the Axe Gang. He has been hiding for so many years, how could he suddenly jump out and seek death? Compared with the mayor, Shen Guangxi is more suspicious of the Three Wolves Gang in the next town. The Three Wolf Gang recently wanted to snatch a spiritual grass from the Axe Gang. During this period, the two gangs have been secretly competing, and a large-scale conflict may break out at any time. Therefore, the Axe Gang has been recruiting people recently and is also squeezing blacksmiths such as Lu Dao to help them build weapons. Thinking about these troubles, Shen Guangxi couldn't help but rub his temples. Shen Guangxi is a middle-aged man who looks elegant and easygoing, with a somewhat feminine face. He is famous for being ruthless in Dafeng Town. Someone once commented privately that he had a feminine and effeminate personality, which resulted in him getting furious. He directly pickled the man who talked about him, and then made him squat and urinate in front of him like a woman every day. If a woman talks about him, he will kidnap the family to the Axe Gang and humiliate the woman in front of the family. After this incident, few people in Dafeng Town dared to talk about him behind his back. The subordinates of the Axe Gang were also very silent towards him. Tell me all the irregularities or unreasonable things you found during yesterday's search. Remember, it's all, whether it's related to hiding things or not, and it doesn't matter whether it's related to the killing of Wang Jinshan, tell us everything you think is abnormal, in detail. Shen Guangxi's face was gloomy, and he asked all the gang members to recall in detail all the details of last night's search. Originally, Shen Guangxi had no intention of taking over the matter. During this time, he was working with the leader of the Axe Gang to study the use of spiritual grass to refine elixirs. That was the real big deal. As a result, these losers searched all night and found no clues, not to mention the murderer or weapons. As a last resort, he had no choice but to personally deal with the assassination. As the gang members came up with some doubts one after another, Shen Guangxi analyzed them carefully and eliminated them one by one. For example, there is a person who has a grudge against Wang Jinshan. In the middle of the strength skin refining process, when Wang Jinshan was assassinated, he happened to be in the main position for more than a quarter of an hour. Shen Guangxi knew that this person suffered from external hemorrhoids and did not know how to use archery. His family was poor and could not afford high-level weapons, etc. He ruled it out. For example, a person said that he was drinking in a pub outside and came home in a daze. When talking about the time, there were mistakes and omissions in his words. Shen Guangxi knew that this man was actually stealing widows outside. Naturally, the time was not right, and the force was not enough to kill Wang Jinshan, ruled out. Another example. One by one, the remaining suspects are getting fewer and fewer. At this moment, a member of the gang suddenly said, "I discovered a suspicious point while searching Lu Dao's house." Shen Guangxi asked, "What's the doubt?" "Be careful." He did not rule it out just because Lu Dao was only in the early stage of skin refining, but asked carefully before making a judgment. "I don't know if that's true, I'm just guessing." The man paused and continued. "Even though I smelled a faint smell of medicine everywhere in his room, you also know that even if the bottle is opened, the smell of medicine generally does not dissipate. Even if it does, it is within a small area. It won't be all over the house. Only by applying potion all over the body will the whole room be filled with the smell of medicine." Lu Dao's room was full of medicine smell. Although it was very light, it was full of medicine. Of course, it might have been him last time. The medicinal smell still remains after using the potion, but as far as my subordinates know, Lu Dao received his reward yesterday, so. "What do you mean? Why can't I understand it well?" The tall Yang Feng couldn't help but ask, feeling confused. Shen Guangxi glared at Yang Feng and explained. "What he means is that after Lu Dao used the potion, he absorbed it very thoroughly. He basically absorbed the potion and not much was omitted, so the smell of the potion in the room was very weak." "Is there something wrong with this? Isn't this normal?" Yang Feng was puzzled. "This idiot," Shen Guangxi cursed secretly, held back his anger and explained. Absorption is very thorough, don't you understand? If Lu Dao bought a potion for practice yesterday, and he absorbed it so thoroughly, the effect of the medicine would be absorbed by more than 70 to 80%, which means that he is the level of understanding of the physical training method has at least reached the level of Dacheng or even the level of perfection. Do you understand now?" "I understand. You are saying that this fool is hiding his clumsiness. He is actually very intelligent and has hidden his cultivation level. Last night." Yang Feng suddenly came to his senses, but before he finished speaking, Shen Guangxi interrupted him with a tired look on his face. He didn't hide his cultivation. Wang Jinshan often beat him, how could he not see his cultivation level? "Oh, I understand. What you mean is that in a short period of time, he has mastered a skill to a great level or even a perfect state." Yang Feng then realized. Well, if he was originally enlightened, there would be no reason to hide it for so many years. Shen Guangxi nodded and continued. "Of course, the premise of all this is that he used potions to practice last night. Go, check whether Lu Dao bought potions last night." Soon, the results of the investigation came out. Not only did Lu Dao buy a bottle of potion last night, but he also bought 6 bottles early this morning. After hearing this, Yang Feng was furious and said, "This fool must have not escaped. He took Wang Jinshan's money." Shen Guangxi was a little surprised. Although compared to the direct exclusion of others, they also investigated Lu Dao, but he didn't really believe that Lu Dao killed Wang Jinshan, because this guess was a bit absurd. However, the result was unexpected. If Lu Dao only bought a bottle of potion last night, it would not prove anything, but he bought 6 bottles this morning, so Lu Dao's suspicion was undoubtedly the greatest. "Yang Feng, you take 10 brothers to catch Lu Dao back, remember, he must be alive." Shen Guangxi ordered. He suddenly became very interested in Lu Dao. How could this person change so much? What secrets are there? Ding ding ding. In the courtyard of the Lu family, Lu Dao worked hard to beat the red-hot iron sheet. That's right, it's not an iron block, but an iron sheet. This is what Lu Dao beat it for half an hour. It is 2 very thin pieces of iron connected by 2 very narrow iron bars in the middle, and there is a round hole in the middle of the 2 iron bars. "Brother Dao, aren't you going to make an axe? What is this?" Wu Ming was very curious. In the past, Brother Dao always beat it into an axe, and it was very laborious to beat it, and the efficiency was not very fast. But today, Brother Dao not only quickly beat the impurities of the iron block clean, but also beat it into this strange-looking thing. Look, Lu Dao smiled slightly, clamped one side of the iron sheet with a long pliers, and then folded the two pieces of iron sheets in half. Suddenly, a very rough iron armor was successfully made. Oh, it turned out to be clothes. Wu Ming suddenly realized. Iron armor. 0/1 rough iron armor, very fragile, defense is almost negligible, can be easily broken by a punch. Instead of giving your life to it, it is better to abandon the armor and run away, and you can run faster. Lu Dao directly ignored the bad words behind the experience, carefully put the iron armor into the water to cool it down, and then continued to make chopsticks. Woof woof woof. Someone is coming. Not long after, the big black dog suddenly ran back from outside the yard and made a warning sound. Lu Dao's expression changed suddenly. Because he was always worried that the Axe Gang would find him, Lu Dao asked the big black dog to keep watch outside today, and once he found someone from the Axe Gang, he would warn him. It was just a small precaution, but the Axe Gang actually found him. What went wrong? Lu Dao frowned a little. He thought about it, except that he was a little reckless when he went to buy potions in the morning, everything else was handled very properly. Logically speaking, it was only one morning, the Axe Gang should not have found the medicine shop so quickly, but the Axe Gang came to the door. It may also be another investigation. Lu Dao guessed so, but he didn't dare to gamble. Without wasting time, he directly picked up the armor that had not yet cooled down, took the big black dog and prepared to go to the back mountain. At the same time, he reminded Wu Ming, Xiao Ming, if someone asks me where you are, just say that I went to the back mountain to collect firewood, and then you go home and hide. Okay. Wu Ming nodded hurriedly, and asked with some concern, Brother Dao, what happened? It's okay, be careful. After speaking, Lu Dao directly climbed over the wall and ran from the back of the yard to the back mountain. Xiaoshan, follow. Soon, Yang Feng and his group arrived at the gate of Lu Dao's yard. With a bang, Yang Feng kicked the gate of the yard directly into pieces, and the wood chips flew everywhere, but fortunately Wu Ming was not injured. Lu Dao, get out of here. Yang Feng glanced at the yard, but didn't see Lu Dao. He yelled and looked at Wu Ming fiercely, where's Lu Dao? Wu Ming replied weakly, Brother Dao went to the back mountain to collect firewood. Collecting firewood in the back mountain. Yang Feng frowned, and then saw Wu Ming stirring the water with a stick, and was a little surprised, what are you doing? Wu Ming answered honestly, these are chopsticks made by Brother Dao, and he said he would sell them for money. Are these chopsticks made of dry firewood? Can this thing be sold for money? Yang Feng sneered and kicked the wooden basin to pieces, and a large bundle of chopsticks was scattered everywhere, and some of the chopsticks were broken into 2 pieces. Yang Feng didn't delay, and took 10 brothers to the back mountain. Wu Ming looked at the chopsticks scattered on the ground, his face flushed, very angry, but there was nothing he could do. Wu Ming carefully collected the scattered chopsticks. As for the broken chopsticks, Wu Ming ran back to his yard, dug some resin from the plum tree, and completely glued each broken chopstick together before going home to hide. Silly dog, come and bite me to death. In the back mountain, Lu Dao, wearing the armor that had been upgraded once, shouted at the big black dog provocatively. Woof woof woof, are you serious? I've been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. Come on, hurry up, don't dawdle, come on, bite me to death. Lu Dao half lowered his body and hooked his finger at the big black dog. Woof woof woof. The big black dog roared and rushed towards Lu Dao fiercely, showing no mercy at all. It took a big bite and bit Lu Dao's calf directly. Stupid dog, don't bite my legs, bite my stomach, back, and armor. Although he was already in the late stage of skin refining, it was still a bit painful to be bitten by the big black dog. The bite force of this dog thing was really a bit strong, but it was only a bit painful, and the big black dog couldn't bite his skin. Woof woof woof, bite you to death. In this way, the big black dog and Lu Dao kept fighting and rolling in the back mountain. The armor on Lu Dao's body also became bumpy and looked like it was about to be destroyed under the repeated impact, biting, and scratching of the big black dog. When Yang Feng and his group came to the back mountain, they happened to see this scene and were stunned. They all wondered if they had found the wrong person. Is this Lu Dao really the one who assassinated Wang Jinshan? Although they didn't believe it, the task had to be completed. Yang Feng and his group stepped forward and blocked Lu Dao. Lu Dao, come with us. Lu Dao stopped fighting with the big black dog and asked in confusion, what's the matter? Can't you say it here? Yang Feng shouted grumpily. Why are you pretending to be stupid? You killed Wang Jinshan. Do you think we can't find out? Lu Dao was silent for a moment, sighed, and did not deny it. Instead, he asked with a puzzled face, how did you find me? Logically speaking, it shouldn't be so fast. When Yang Feng heard this, he was instantly furious, and his eyes suddenly became fierce. It's you, little fool, you really have the courage to kill my brother from the Axe Gang, you are looking for death. Kill him for me. Yang Feng shouted angrily, took out the axe from his waist, called on his brothers and rushed towards Lu Dao. At the same time, he did not forget to remind, fight in close quarters, be careful with his bow and arrow. Yang Feng was also worried that Lu Dao would shoot him with a bow and arrow. It was an advanced weapon. Even if he was in the advanced stage of skin refining, there was no guarantee that he could resist it. As long as they entangled Lu Dao and did not give him a chance to shoot, Yang Feng was not afraid. Kill. Lu Dao was not careless and rushed towards Yang Feng with a solemn expression. As soon as the cloak sword technique was used, circles of sword wind blew around him, guarding him tightly. At the same time, Yunyu used his body skills, and he was like a slippery loach, shuttling among the 11 people. They couldn't even touch Lu Dao's clothes. This kid is actually in the late stage of skin refining. How is this possible? As soon as they met, Yang Feng saw Lu Dao's true cultivation level and suddenly felt a little incredible. Because Lu Dao had been working naked for many years, his skin was burned to a coppery color, so it was really difficult to see his level of cultivation with the naked eye. Now that he found out, Yang Feng put away the contempt in his heart and attacked Lu Dao with all his strength. However, he still underestimated Lu Dao's strength. Facing the 11 of them, Lu Dao actually advanced and retreated in an orderly manner, attacking and defending, but it just seemed like he was struggling. How can you be so strong? Yang Feng and others were shocked. 11 people against one person could not win directly. They were really too strong. Especially considering that he was only in the early stage of leather refining not long ago, and he was promoted to 2 levels in a short period of time, which made a group of people feel numb. So perverted. Dang dang dang. Of course, even though Lu Dao's body skills were powerful and his sword defense was excellent, he couldn't handle the large number of people, and some axes would still pass through the wind of swords and hit Lu Dao. But in the end, they were all caught one by one with the long knife in Lu Dao's hand. However, not long after, the knife in Lu Dao's hand showed a lot of gaps, and it was about to break because he could no longer hold on. At this moment, Lu Dao seemed to have been careless. His cloak sword skills paused for a moment, and his chest opened wide, giving Yang Feng a very good opportunity to kill him. Yang Feng, who was in the late stage of skin refining and had rich combat experience, naturally would not miss the opportunity. He bullied himself forward and slashed Lu Dao's chest with all his strength with the axe. Even when Lu Dao abandoned his sword in panic and punched him instead, he didn't bother to defend himself. Exchanging injury for injury, he believed that with his axe, Lu Dao's armor would definitely be cut through, and even his heart would be chopped into pieces. As for Shen Guangxi's instructions to stay alive, he had long forgotten them. It sounds complicated, but in fact it only took a moment. When he saw the axe was about to hit Lu Dao's armor, Yang Feng suddenly seemed to have seen something unbelievable, and his eyes widened instantly. I saw that the armor, which was originally pitted and almost broken, changed continuously in an instant. In the blink of an eye, the technique was restored to its integrity and became thicker, giving people a feeling of invincibility. Iron armor. 3,720 10,000ths, middle grade 9th level, excellent defense, with a certain amount of counterattack power. Ordinary swords are difficult to leave traces, even weapons of the same level can be resisted. When, without allowing Yang Feng to think too much, the axe struck the armor. The expected scene of cutting through the armor not only did not happen, there was not even a dent. There was only a shallow white mark on the armor. Then there was a counter-shock force from the axe, causing Yang Feng's wrist to shake, and the axe flew away from his hand. At the same time, Lu Dao punched him right in the chest. Puff! It seemed like an ordinary punch, but it sounded like thunder. In an instant, Yang Feng's chest was directly penetrated. Lu Dao's whole right hand passed through Yang Feng's chest. Thunder fist perfection. This punch is not ordinary. Why is this happening? What kind of armor is that? Why is this punch so powerful? Yang Feng's brain was full of doubts. He stared at Lu Dao blankly. He opened his mouth to say something, but was choked by blood in his mouth. Lu Dao didn't even look at Yang Feng, he just turned away and went to kill the others in the axe gang. Yang Feng's body had no strength to rely on, and he fell to the ground. In the reflection of his eyes, he saw Lu Dao like a killing god, cutting one after another, leaving the axe gang with no resistance. Run away quickly. The axe gang members ran away like crazy, but unfortunately, their speed was too slow, and they were quickly caught up by Lu Dao. After slashing several people in succession, Lu Dao chopped down another person, put the tip of his knife on his neck and threatened, "Tell me, how did you find me?" He wanted to know how he was caught and what he had overlooked. I can say it, but I have a condition." The man tremblingly wanted to negotiate terms with Lu Dao. Lu Dao said, "Okay, tell me." I said, "You must let me go and you can't go back on your word." The man stared at Lu Dao closely, fearing that Lu Dao would refuse. This was his only chance to survive. After speaking, he added, "And you must swear, otherwise I won't tell you even if I die." Lu Dao directly swore. "I, Lu Dao, swear that as long as this person tells me the reason, I will let him live. If he goes back on his word, he will be struck by thunder." Seeing Lu Dao swear, the man breathed a sigh of relief, held back the burst of pain from his back, and said hurriedly, "The smell of the medicine in your room is relatively weak. They guessed that you may have absorbed the potion's effect completely, so they speculated that his understanding is astonishing. He recently understood the body training technique to a great extent, even to a perfect level, so he became suspicious of you. Then he went to the elixir shop to check and found that you were the most suspicious." Quote. Lu Dao was stunned when he heard this. He didn't expect that it was because of this small detail, which also made Lu Dao understand that he should not be careless at any time, as any small detail might make him fall into the abyss. After Lu Dao learned this lesson, he kept his promise and let go of this man, and turned to kill the other 3 people who had run away. The man was overjoyed. Just when he was about to endure his injuries and escape, a big black dog suddenly rushed over from the side and bit him on the injured back. "Suddenly there was a heartbreaking pain in my back." This person directly yelled, "Lu Dao, you swore an oath, you despicable and shameless villain." Lu Dao shrugged and muttered, "It's none of my business if Shaoshan bites you." Within a few minutes, Lu Dao caught up with the remaining 3 members of the axe gang one by one and killed them all without leaving anyone behind. Phew, this hearty battle was really refreshing. Now, I finally have some practical experience. That's right, Lu Dao's previous battle with the axe gang seemed dangerous, but in fact it was Lu Dao who was testing his body and sword skills, honing himself, and practicing his actual combat experience. Otherwise, if he goes all out, with his perfect body and sword skills, as well as his armor that can be upgraded at any time, it won't be too difficult for him to take down this group of people. On the side, Yang Feng, who was still breathing, suddenly became furious when he heard this. Finally, his eyes became distracted and he gradually lost his breath. There was great fear and deep unwillingness on his face. He shouldn't have come looking for Lu Dao, a killer. Lu Dao glanced at Yang Feng, who was completely dead, and began to touch the body. Finally, after a search, more than 30 taels of silver were found from 11 people, of which Yang Feng contributed 10 taels. The harvest is not small. Lu Dao smiled with satisfaction, then put away his smile and asked the big black dog to watch the wind. He started practicing naked in the back mountain. Now that the axe gang has found him, his cultivation in the later stages of skin refining is a bit insufficient and needs to be improved as soon as possible. Woof woof woof. How shameless, running naked in broad daylight. Shut up and keep scratching the armor with your 4 claws, or I'm going to eat some dog meat tonight. Woof woof woof. You are cruel. The big black dog could only continue to scratch the armor obediently, and the armor's experience also increased crazily. Boom. An hour later, with a roar inside his body, Lu Dao stopped practicing with satisfaction. After cleaning the battlefield, Lu Dao put all 11 corpses into the system space and then went home. After returning home, Lu Dao saw the chopsticks placed on the stool. While Lu Dao was pleased, he couldn't help but worry. Fortunately, he took a look at his neighbor's house and found that Wu Ming was fine, so he felt relieved. Brother Dao, where are you going? Wu Ming looked worried as Lu Dao walked toward the town with blood stains on his clothes. Lu Dao said without looking back, Brother Dao is going to do something big. Woof woof woof. Be careful. The big black dog did not follow him and watched Lu Dao leave from a distance. A moment later, Lu Dao appeared at the kung fu shop. When he saw He Zongming, he said 2 words. Last night, I killed Wang Jinshan. An hour ago, I killed Yang Feng. Puff. Before Lu Dao finished speaking, He Zongming spit out a sip of tea. Puff. Before Lu Dao finished speaking, He Zongming was so surprised that he spat out a sip of tea, which immediately hit Lu Dao in the face. Forget about killing Wang Jinshan. After all, it is just a mid-stage skin refining stage and not worth mentioning. But Yang Feng was different. He was in the late stage of skin refining. Moreover, he is very powerful and can be ranked among the top 5 in the entire Axe gang. How could Lu Dao kill such a person? Boy, don't talk nonsense like this. Come on, don't talk nonsense here. He Zongming glanced around and found that many people were looking at his door curiously. He immediately wanted to drive Lu Dao away, but he also vaguely explained to Lu Dao in his words, saying that he was talking nonsense. That's not right. Just as he was about to push Lu Dao away, he suddenly realized something was wrong. With his cultivation in the blood refining realm, he actually did not push Lu Dao. Then, He Zongming was shocked to find that Lu Dao was surrounded by a faint power of blood. This is the unique aura of the blood refining realm. Lu Dao, he is actually not at the skin refining realm, but at the blood refining realm. But how is this possible? He is only 17 years old, how could he have such cultivation? He Zongming maintained the posture of pushing Lu Dao away, staring at Lu Dao with dull eyes, as if looking at a monster, with a look of disbelief on his face. Senior, how about we go into the shop and talk in detail? Seeing many people watching here, Lu Dao wiped his face and said remindingly. Oh, yes, come into the shop, come into the shop. Only then did He Zongming react. He pulled Lu Dao into the shop in a panic, and then closed the shop with a backhand. After the two sat down, He Zongming continued to look at Lu Dao, looking a little dazed, as if he had not recovered from the previous shock. Senior, He Zongming was stunned for a moment, and then he realized what he was doing. He took a deep breath and said, Oh, I am getting old. You, the younger generation, are really surprising. He had earlier deduced that Lu Dao's killing of Wang Jinshan had surprised him enough, but unexpectedly, he still underestimated Lu Dao. The realm of blood refining. He has been walking on this road for 70 years, but Lu Dao is only 17 years old now. At this moment, he suddenly felt as if he had been living in a dog's body all these years. He Zongming couldn't help but ask, Boy, did you hide your cultivation before? Otherwise, he really couldn't believe that a person could improve so much in just 2 days. It was too scary. Lu Dao explained with a smile. No, I was also deprived of my remuneration by Wang Jinshan a few days ago, which made me very angry. In the end, for some reason, something seemed to have changed in my head, and I suddenly became smarter. He made up a lie. I see. He Zongming was stunned, and then sighed. How can you be smarter? You have completely transformed into a different person. Senior seems to know what's going on with me. He Zongming nodded and said, Well, although your situation is rare, it has happened before in the martial arts world. The soul is a very strange existence. Some people will become crazy when they are stimulated, and some people will suddenly have a surge in understanding. You belong to the latter. Lu Dao nodded, fully agreeing with this statement. By the way, why are you here with me? He Zongming suddenly realized that Lu Dao had killed someone from the Axe gang, and why did he come to his shop all of a sudden? He couldn't possibly be seeking asylum, right? Let's talk about it first. I'm old and don't want to get into any fights. If you want me to protect you, I advise you to give up this idea as soon as possible. Even though He Zongming was also in the realm of blood refining, he didn't want to have any conflict with the Axe gang. He was not alone. He had descendants, and he didn't want to mess with the bullies of the Axe gang. Lu Dao shook his head to show that he was not seeking asylum, and then said solemnly, I want to buy some high-grade Huang-level exercises. Of course, it would be best if there are Zong-level exercises. When He Zongming heard this, he breathed a secret sigh of relief, shook his head and said, there is no Xuanji Kung Fu, the best one is only the Wangji top grade. After hesitating for a moment, He Zongming couldn't help but ask again, you killed Yang Feng, didn't you run away? Aren't you worried that the leader of the Axe Gang will come to your door? Lu Dao smiled and said, I came to you to buy exercises just because I was worried. The fact is that he is already in the realm of blood refining, so naturally he is not worried about the Axe Gang targeting him. He is worried about Wu Ming's safety, so he wants to take the lead in eradicating the Axe Gang. There was no need for Lu Dao to say this. He Zongming nodded, and then asked curiously, have you finished practicing the 3 exercises you bought yesterday? Well, all the training was successful. He Zongming asked, to what extent have you cultivated the state of perfection? What? He Zongming was shocked again. Looking at the 17-year-old boy in front of him, he couldn't help but swallowed his saliva. 3 yellow-level middle-level exercise secrets had been cultivated to perfection in less than a day. Is that human being? Seriously, you didn't lie to me. Lu Dao smiled bitterly and said, Senior, I have no need to lie to you. Yeah, it's just, this is incredible. He Zongming murmured, suddenly thinking of something. He quickly took out a book from the bookshelf and handed it to Lu Dao, saying, this is a secret technique that can hide the power of one's own blood. If you practice in front of me now, if you can successfully practice it in an hour, I will give you this secret technique for free. Lu Dao's eyes lit up. He didn't expect such a good thing. Without saying anything, Lu Dao picked up the book and started reading. Blood Transformation Technique. After a while, Lu Dao finished reading and slowly closed the book. Just when He Zongming was about to say something to Lu Dao, he suddenly discovered that the faint energy and blood power in Lu Dao's body had disappeared. It seemed as if the young man sitting in front of him was not a master in the blood refining realm, but an ordinary person. How can it be? He Zongming was shocked again, and even couldn't help but stand up. Even though, The Art of Transforming Blood, is just a secret book for low-level Huang-level people, you can understand it immediately after reading the book. Don't you need to practice? What kind of monster is this? Simply a monster. He has also been in the world, but he has never heard of such an exaggerated existence as Lu Dao. Too crazy. After a long while, He Zongming regained his composure, looked at Lu Dao with a complex expression and said, what a terrifying young man. Wait, I'll get you the exercises. Then, He Zongming turned around and returned to the yard behind the shop. He took out 3 exercises from his room and placed them in front of Lu Dao. However, he did not hand them to Lu Dao directly. Instead, he asked, speaking of which, did you use the house deed earlier? Mortgage 3 exercises. Now, do you have the money to buy these 3 exercises from me? These are Wangji's top grade skills, each worth 100 taels. He Zongming added. Lu Dao asked awkwardly, can I pay on credit? Cannot. He Zongming's face darkened. He took the kung fu into his arms and said in a deep voice, boy, don't go too far. You are trying to use my kung fu for free. Lu Dao said, Senior, don't worry, I'll give you 2 hours credit. Not even 2 hours, huh? 2 hours. He Zongming frowned, then seemed to think of something. His eyes widened suddenly, and he said in a trembling voice, boy, are you going to fight the Axe Gang? Apart from this possibility, he couldn't think of where else Lu Dao could earn 300 taels in 2 hours. Lu Dao nodded silently. Lu Dao, you are playing with fire. Although only the leader of the Axe Gang is in the blood refining realm, there are dozens of them. As the saying goes, it is difficult for 2 fists to defeat 4 hands, and you alone. He Zongming said this and did not continue, but the meaning of his words was obviously to advise Lu Dao not to be impulsive. Senior, don't worry, I have confidence. Then how sure are you? Lu Dao said, at least 60%. He Zongming shook his head, 60% is too little. It's too risky and not worth it. Lu Dao said, Senior, I mean if I didn't have these 3 techniques, I would be at least 60% sure. If I had these 3 techniques, I would be 90%, or even 100% sure. Lu Dao, you are too conceited, you. When He Zongming heard this, instead of being happy at all, he was a little disappointed. He felt that Lu Dao had become a little conceited due to his improvement in understanding. Such a person, no matter how talented he is, cannot go far. I was about to give Lu Dao some advice. As a result, before he finished speaking, Lu Dao opened his clothes, revealing the armor underneath. Is this an advanced level iron armor? And, is it still a 9th level top grade armor? He Zongming was shocked for once. He found that Lu Dao shocked him too much. He Zongming finally understood at this moment that Lu Dao was not arrogant, but had enough confidence in his own strength. With this armor, there is basically no threat to Lu Dao under blood refining. When he pushed Lu Dao before, he knew that Lu Dao was wearing iron armor, but how could he have guessed that he would be a 9th level high grade one? I've underestimated you. He Zongming couldn't help but shook his head and sighed, and asked, if I guess correctly, you also made this armor by yourself, right? Good. It's really. He Zongming didn't know how to praise Lu Dao. Such talent was beyond his understanding. Lu Dao struck while the iron was hot. Senior, as long as you give me 3 skills, I can build an advanced weapon for you, even iron armor. Is this true? He Zongming stood up excitedly. It is so rare to enter the level of iron armor. It is much more difficult to build iron armor than ordinary weapons, and more materials are used. Therefore, a set of iron armor is often worth several times or even more than weapons of the same level, 10 times. Certainly, Lu Dao nodded. To him, it made no difference whether it was a set of armor or an axe. It's just a piece of iron anyway. Okay, I want a set of iron armor. The requirements are not high. All I need is to enter the rank. He Zongming's face glowed with excitement and he said, in this way, I won't take advantage of you. From now on, you can choose whatever skills you want in my shop for free. Isn't it really a free prostitution? I really agree with that sentence. It feels good for a while and will always be good. Lu Dao's eyes suddenly lit up, and he muttered something strangely. Serious prostitutes are so enjoyable, so wouldn't it be even more enjoyable if they were not serious? By coincidence, as soon as Lu Dao finished saying this, he found a girl of 14 or 15 years old coming out from behind the shop and looking at him curiously. Lu Dao was immediately embarrassed. This is He Zongming's granddaughter He Yuanshuang. She is only 14 years old. She has developed quite well at a young age and looks very well behaved. He Yuanshuang had been eavesdropping behind the door for a long time. She was also shocked by Lu Dao's amazing talent. Seeing that the conversation between the two was over and Lu Dao was about to leave, she couldn't help but come out to see what Lu Dao looked like. I saw the young man's tall and straight figure, his handsome appearance but also his perseverance. His whole face was as if carved with a knife and an axe, making people unable to forget him just by looking at him. At this moment, He Yuanshuang's heart was pounding, and the door of the girl's heart slowly opened. Boom! At this moment, a majestic figure descended like a god, and forcibly closed the door of He Yuanshuang's heart. Boy, don't think about my Yuanshuang, otherwise I will not coexist with you. He Zongming was like an eagle, protecting He Yuanshuang behind him, fearing that Lu Dao would contact his granddaughter. Grandpa, what are you talking about? He Yuanshuang was a little shy and her face was red. Lu Dao was also very embarrassed and coughed. Senior, you misunderstood. Go quickly, take the skills and leave quickly. If you don't leave, don't blame me for being rude. He Zongming drove him away directly. Lu Dao had no choice but to pick up the skills and leave, but he couldn't help complaining. Senior, you are faster than me to learn the skills. Get lost. He Zongming was so angry that he blew his beard and glared. This stinky boy actually pretended in front of him. What was he showing off? Isn't it just a talent? What's there to be proud of? If he has this talent, humph, he will show off even more. Who can't show off in front of others? So angry. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. Next, be careful of the poison. Although he was very angry, He Zongming didn't want Lu Dao to have any accidents. When Lu Dao walked out of the shop, he threw a small bottle with a pill in it to Lu Dao. On the other side, the Axe Gang. After Yang Feng and the others left, everyone did not disperse, waiting for Yang Feng to capture Lu Dao. They also wanted to know where Lu Dao got the entry-level bow and arrow. However, this wait lasted half an hour. Shen Guangxi's face was extremely gloomy. As early as 2/4 of an hour ago, he noticed something was wrong. The Axe Gang and Lu Dao's family belonged to the two ends of Daifeng Town. It usually took less than half an hour to walk, and a round trip took at most a quarter of an hour. But after a quarter of an hour, Yangfeng and the others did not come back. Shen Guangxi knew that Lu Dao had a big black dog. He estimated that Lu Dao found Yangfeng and went to catch him, and fled directly to the back mountain, so it would take a little time. But even so, half an hour should be enough. However, half an hour passed, and Yangfeng and the others had not returned. Shen Guangxi couldn't sit still anymore, so he turned around and walked into the backyard, came to the leader of the Axe Gang, and bowed, saying, "Godfather, Yangfeng might have been in trouble." The leader of the Axe Gang is named Zhang Shang, who is over 60 years old. Contrary to his name, he is not tall and strong, but rather short, bald, and has a beard. People who don't know him probably wouldn't have thought that he would be the leader of a gang. But facing Zhang Shang, even Shen Guangxi, who has always been ruthless, is very afraid and dares not have the slightest disrespect. At this moment, Zhang Shang is looking at the potted plants in front of him and the paper in his hand with a headache, and his expression is very tired. Behind him, there is a beautiful young woman with a curvy figure who gently pinches his shoulders for him, her breasts half naked, pressed against Zhang Shang's back, shaking up and down, and rubbing almost mechanically. The young woman's face is numb, her eyes are dull, and the whole person gives people a feeling of lack of vitality. This is the woman that Zhang Shang robbed, and when he gets tired of playing, he will give her to his subordinates. The young woman was a widow with a child. If it weren't for her child, she would have committed suicide long ago. Especially when she learned that her husband did not die in an accident but was killed by the Axe Gang, she was even more disheartened. Zhang Shang asked without raising his head, "What happened?" "The murderer who assassinated Wang Jinshan has been found. It should be Lu Dao." At this point, Shen Guangxi paused and continued. "Half an hour ago, Yangfeng led 10 brothers to capture Lu Dao, but they haven't come back yet. I guess they are probably in danger." "Oh, Lu Dao, is that the little blacksmith?" Zhang Shang's eyes finally moved away from the paper and looked at Shen Guangxi with a little surprise. "Can this little blacksmith kill Yangfeng?" "I'm not sure, but it's 9 out of 10. Hearing Shen Guangxi say this, Zhang Shang didn't ask any more questions and believed in his judgment. Zhang Shang kept tapping the table with his right hand, looking thoughtful, and suddenly asked, "What do you think we should do now?" Shen Guangxi hesitated for a moment and said, "This man was only at the early stage of skin refining 3 days ago, but now, if something happens to Yangfeng, he will have the strength to kill the late stage of skin refining. His strength is at least at the late stage of skin refining. Moreover, none of the 10 brothers came back. I guess that either he has other helpers, or his real strength is probably." He didn't continue. Zhang Shang naturally understood that with 10 brothers, plus Yangfeng, who was extremely powerful in the late stage of skin refining, it was almost impossible for the skin refining realm to keep all of them. Even if Lu Dao shot and killed Yangfeng with a bow and arrow, the others would have a chance to escape back, at least send back news. But the fact is that there was no news. No one in Daifeng Town dared to help him kill my Axe Gang. Zhang Shang said this with extreme confidence, but after excluding this possibility, he was even more unwilling to accept the remaining possibility. Zhang Shang looked deep, raised his head and placed it between the young woman's breasts, sighing. It took only 3 days to advance from the initial stage of skin refining to the blood refining realm. Such an existence is really terrifying. "Godfather, what should we do now?" Shen Guangxi bowed and asked. "Wait." Zhang Shang calmly uttered the word, "Wait," and then said, "After all, our Axe Gang and Lu Dao don't have much grudges. Let's wait and see if he will come to our door impulsively. If he comes, this is our home ground. I want to see what secrets he has. If he doesn't come, then we will go to his Lu family in person in an hour to see if he has 3 heads and 6 arms." "Yes." Shen Guangxi bowed and accepted the order, left the yard, and turned to his room. Picked up the pen and ink, and quickly wrote a letter. Putting the letter in his pocket, Shen Guangxi walked out of the room, ready to find a confidant to send the letter out. "Brother Shen, where are you going?" As soon as he walked out of the room, a fragrant breeze blew into his nose. A beautiful girl with a curvy figure rushed over and hugged his right arm without hesitation, shaking it hard in front of his chest. The touch from the Twin Peaks made Shen Guangxi enjoy it in his heart, but he didn't dare to show a trace of enjoyment on his face. This was Zhang Rongrong, the daughter of Zhang Shang. This girl looked down on other people in the gang, but couldn't stand the loneliness. She seduced him openly and secretly, with frivolous movements, and wanted to send herself to his bed for him to pick. But he knew that this was Zhang Shang's way of testing him, so he only dared to look at Zhang Rongrong, not eat her. Rongrong, something big might happen in the gang, don't run around, be careful. Shen Guangxi reluctantly pulled his arm out from between Zhang Rongrong's twin peaks, and after giving some instructions, he hurried out. Soon, he found his confidant, and Shen Guangxi handed the letter to him, saying, "Do you remember where I saved you? I will never forget it. Well, remember, you take this letter and wait for me there. If I don't show up after one day, you take the letter to Honghua Valley, 100 miles away in the southeast, and give it to Miss Kai. You don't need to ask anything else." Yes, Lu Dao took 3 books of martial arts and walked on the street, watching as if no one was around. The pedestrians in the town looked at Lu Dao and gave way. And behind him, there was a group of people following curiously, without disturbing him. But these people all had very complicated expressions. Some were unbelieving, some were surprised, some were expecting, and some were worried. They were all people who had heard Lu Dao say that he had killed Yang Feng near the martial arts shop. The person who could kill Yang Feng must be very powerful. Everyone was very familiar with Lu Dao, an ordinary 17-year-old boy. Could such a person kill Yang Feng? In fact, they didn't believe it at first, and thought Lu Dao was really talking nonsense, but when Lu Dao came out of the martial arts shop with 3 martial arts books, many people believed it. Otherwise, why would he Zongming sell him 3 yellow-level top-grade martial arts books? Especially now, it seems that Lu Dao is heading straight for the Axe Gang, and he Zongming is looking at Lu Dao's back from a distance, with a calm expression and full of confidence in him. This made the people in Daifeng Town, who had been oppressed by the Axe Gang for decades, feel a little hope in vain. Looking forward to Lu Dao destroying the Axe Gang. But they only dared to follow from a distance. They didn't dare to blindly go up to the Axe Gang to fight. After decades of oppression, their fear of the Axe Gang has penetrated into their bones. What happened? What happened? What is Lu Dao going to do? Along the way, many people who didn't know what was going on couldn't help asking questions. For some reason, perhaps because they were too depressed, or because Lu Dao's aura was too strong at the moment, they didn't dare to ask Lu Dao directly. Instead, they waited until Lu Dao left and asked the people behind him. "I heard that Lu Dao killed Yang Feng of the Axe Gang. Now he is going to the Axe Gang, maybe he wants to attack the Axe Gang." Yes, and boss, he seems to have confidence in him. Hearing these words, the people were stunned. That's the Axe Gang. Does Lu Dao really have this strength? He is only 17 years old. With a little doubt and a little expectation, everyone followed, wanting to see what the ending would be. Some people also whispered to Lu Dao not to be impulsive, but Lu Dao was so fascinated by reading that he didn't seem to notice. Some others looked at Lu Dao with pity, thinking that he was looking for death. More people were numb. In this way, more and more people came after hearing the news. The mayor also rushed over anxiously. He was a haggard old man in his 80s. He was a little annoyed that he had not discovered Lu Dao's talent earlier. He wanted to take Lu Dao away and let him hide. He didn't want Lu Dao, a young genius, to die in vain. But such a big commotion must have been reported to the Axe Gang, so he had to give up. He just felt sorry for him. Snap. Lu Dao gently closed the book. He finally finished reading the 3 secret books. Lu Dao glanced at the group of people following him from a distance, but didn't care. System, add points. Follow the wind step perfect, Fu Hu sword technique perfect, Kai Tian Quan perfect. Lu Dao nodded with satisfaction and walked straight towards the Axe Gang in front of him. The Axe Gang had already been ready. Stop, this is a stronghold of the Axe Gang, no one can get close to it. The Axe Gang's lair is a large courtyard with 2 stone lions standing at the door, which is very impressive. There were a row of young men standing on both sides of the door. When they saw Lu Dao coming, they immediately shouted with stern expressions. Lu Dao ignored it. Looking from the door, you can see the main hall of the courtyard at a glance. Through the main hall, there is a hall. On the high seat in the middle of the hall, a short bald man is sitting at the moment. It was Zhang Shang, the leader of the Axe Gang. When Lu Dao saw this, he immediately smiled. Without saying anything, he took out the bow and arrow and reached the bow instantly. Asshole, you don't follow common sense. Zhang Shang's expression changed drastically. He originally wanted to give Lu Dao a blow and test Lu Dao's strength. It would be best if he could win. If he couldn't defeat him, he might as well negotiate terms. As a result, Lu Dao wanted to shoot him as soon as he came up. Zhang Shang was immediately furious. He instinctively sensed the danger and ducked away. However, Lu Dao did not shoot the arrow, only a feint. The next moment, Lu Dao put away his bow and arrow and used it with the wind step. He suddenly approached an Axe Gang member and slashed down with the long knife in his hand. Puff! The speed was so fast that the boy at the door didn't even react, and his neck was chopped off with a knife. Ah! Help me, please help me. Run away. Unfortunately, no matter how much they shouted, they couldn't escape at all. Lu Dao's speed was so fast that even a slight movement of his steps would cover a distance of several meters. They were in the early and middle stages of skin refining and could not avoid him at all. He even wanted to fight back, but just when the axe was raised, Lu Dao's long knife fell down. Puff! In an instant, this group of people were like logs, and they were eliminated by Lu Dao chopping melons and vegetables. 10 people died in just a few seconds. How can it be so strong? Everyone in the Axe Gang in the yard was shocked. They never expected that Lu Dao would be so strong. What shocked them even more was that the knife in Lu Dao's hand slashed without stopping. Whether it is cutting on flesh or bone, it is cut with one knife, as if human bones have no effect on the knife. That long knife is an entry-level weapon. Shen Guangxi told the truth with an ugly face. Ordinary long knives, even long knives of good quality, cannot do this. Only advanced weapons can do this. However, how come Lu Dao has so many advanced weapons? The previous bow and arrows, now the long knife, and his bow, arrows and long knife suddenly appeared in his hand, indicating that there is still a treasure in his hand that can be stored. It makes people crazy with envy. Not only are the Axe Gang envious, but so are the rest of the population. Knife, 1000 can be upgraded low-grade 9th level, sharp blade, blowing hair and breaking hair, can easily cut the bones of ordinary creatures. This knife was exactly the long knife that Lu Dao used before, with so many gaps that it was about to break. However, after he remade it, it was easily upgraded to the 9th level of low grade. Lu's hammer technique perfection. For Lu Dao, who has already mastered Lu's hammer technique, it only takes 2 hammers to recreate it, so it won't waste much time at all. At this moment, Lu Dao looked at the experience on the long sword and was a little surprised, but it was also what he expected. When he killed Wang Jinshan before, he found that the experience of the arrow had increased by 100, but now, after killing 10 people, the experience of the sword had increased by 1000. Obviously, these weapons will gain more experience in killing people. As for other items, Lu Dao felt that there might be ways to gain experience faster, but he just had to wait to explore them later. Furthermore, the level of killing and refining skin has increased by 100, but what about the level of killing and refining blood? Lu Dao is looking forward to this very much. You fool from the Axe Gang, you must die. Lu Dao roared, and used the Fuhu sword technique. At the same time, the power of qi and blood in his body flowed, and he struck the door of the courtyard with a fierce sword. A red sword light flew out and struck directly above the courtyard door. Boom! A loud noise was heard, and the courtyard door, which was several meters high, was smashed into pieces with a knife, along with the top of the door. Then the surrounding courtyard walls were shaken by a huge force, and most of them collapsed. Behind the courtyard wall, more than a dozen Axe Gang members who were ambushing the people with iron nets were directly knocked down by the courtyard wall. Although they were not seriously injured, they were disgraced for a while. Okay, good chop. In the distance, an unknown person suddenly let out an excited roar, which immediately caused countless people to respond and start shouting. Kill! Kill all the bullies from the Axe Gang. Eradicate the Axe Gang. Knife, 1236 1000 can be upgraded low-grade 9th level, sharp blade, blowing hair and breaking hair, can easily cut the bones of ordinary creatures. Huh, can this also increase experience? Lu Dao didn't pay attention to the excitement of the people. At this time, he was surprised to find that with this strike, the experience was increased by 236, which was really a lot. This was more experience than killing 2 people. Lu Dao, do you really want to help me with my axe? Zhang Shang gritted his teeth and looked at Lu Dao, his heart filled with powerlessness. He originally thought that even if Lu Dao was in the blood refining realm, it would be similar, but now he discovered that Lu Dao not only had entry-level weapons, but also had high-level movement and sword skills at the yellow level. He didn't have much confidence at all against Lu Dao. Is it possible that the Axe Gang, which has been established for decades, will be ruined in the hands of Lu Dao, a yellow-haired boy? He was unwilling to give in. The fish is dead and the net is broken. You think too highly of yourself. As Lu Dao spoke, he struck the 2 sides with 2 knives again, completely smashing the wall at the entrance of the courtyard, allowing the Axe Gang's courtyard to be fully revealed before his eyes. In this way, Lu Dao no longer has to worry about being attacked due to blocked vision. Experience plus 197. Experience plus 173. After 2 cuts, the experience was increased by more than 100 each. Lu Dao's eyes couldn't help but shine as he looked at the Axe Gang's yard and gang members. My weapons can also be upgraded during the battle. How do you deal with this? Suffer death. Lu Dao rushed into the courtyard. As he used his body skills, his whole body became elegant and moved with the wind, as if he was dancing. The long knife in his hand never stopped, taking away a life with 1 strike. No matter whether it was the early stage of skin refining or the middle stage of skin refining, he could not withstand a single blow in his hands. Even if someone is wearing iron armor, he can be dealt with 1 blow. Don't mess around, let me attack. Zhang Shang also knew that Lu Dao would not give up until he killed him, and he also knew that he could not escape and could only bite the bullet. At this moment, no matter how many tricks he had, they were all insignificant in the face of the powerful strength. Laugh. Zhang Shang mobilized all his energy and blood, like a rock spreading its wings, and flew close to Lu Dao. The axe in his hand fell, and a beam of axe fell, slashing towards Lu Dao's neck. Lu Dao did not retreat but advanced. He turned his head and rushed towards the light of the axe. A thud. The axe light struck Lu Dao's chest, and his clothes instantly shattered, revealing the armor underneath. Iron armor experience plus 100. Joy appeared on both Lu Dao and Zhang Shang's faces at the same time. The difference was that Zhang Shang's face froze as soon as the joy appeared on his face. When he struck with all his strength, Lu Dao's armor only made a dent, and did not cause much damage to Lu Dao at all. 9th level high-grade iron armor. Zhang Shang felt his mouth go dry for a while. It was another entry-level item, and it was iron armor. How could he fight this? The difference in weapons is huge. Zhang Shang didn't have time to think too much. Lu Dao's attack was already in front of him. Zhang Shang also used his body skills to avoid Lu Dao's attack very nimbly. Because of his short stature, he looked like a monkey, jumping up and down. Lu Dao couldn't hit him for a while. Puff. Suddenly, Zhang Shang, who had just dodged a blow, took out a handful of lime from his arms and threw it towards Lu Dao. Lu Dao was startled and used wind step. He raised his head and followed the wind, sliding backwards almost against the ground to avoid lime. At this moment, the other members of the Axe Gang found the right opportunity. 7 or 8 people grabbed the iron net from all directions and rushed towards Lu Dao. At the same time, 7 or 8 axes also slashed at Lu Dao's whole body. Lu Dao was not panicked at all. He kicked his feet on the ground, turned his body sharply, and several chopsticks suddenly appeared on his left hand. Lu Dao used the power of his energy and blood to throw them around, and at the same time, he waved the long knife in his hand. A streak of red light flashed across and collided with the light of Zhang Shang's axe. Puff puff. Several voices sounded almost at the same time, and the chopsticks were easily shot through 5 people. 3 of them died directly, with their chests or throats shot through. The other 2 were more lucky, but their organs were shot through, and they were still alive for the time being. There was also a chopstick attack that was dodged by a late-stage skin refiner and did not cause any damage. The sword light fired by Lu Dao was directly destroyed together with Zhang Shang's attack. The next moment, Lu Dao easily escaped from the crowd, picked up 2 chopsticks, and looked back at the others. Advanced chopsticks. Everyone in the Axe Gang looked at Lu Dao in shock. They couldn't believe that chopsticks could advance to the next level and kill people. Zhongshang couldn't help but swallowed a mouthful of saliva. His whole body was almost sluggish and almost numb. When did entry-level items become so common? He, Zhongshang, has been practicing martial arts for 50 years, but he has never obtained an entry-level weapon, and Lu Dao's entry-level items seem to be free of charge, one after another. Chapter 11. Cut. While everyone in the Axe Gang was shocked, Lu Dao walked in with a long knife and killed one person. Spare my life. The younger brother of the Axe Gang begged loudly for mercy, but unfortunately, Lu Dao had long wanted to kill these people, so how could he let them go? This person reacted very quickly and threw the axe directly, hoping to block Lu Dao a little so that he could escape. The result was a click. Lu Dao kept moving and struck the axe head with his sword. The long knife actually cut iron like clay and split the axe head in half. He then caught up with the man and cut him in half. Knife. 2349 10,000ths middle grade 9th level, sharp blade, cutting iron like clay, can easily cut through ordinary iron tools. It turns out that his sword is not a 9th level low grade sword, but a middle grade one. Can the grade of the knife be hidden? It's too insidious. Escape, you can't beat him at all. Everyone was completely panicked and ran away in panic. He actually has a 9th level mid-level weapon. Where did it come from? Zhongshang looked confused. How could he fight? Puff puff. Several sounds of chopping meat sounded in succession, and the Axe Gang lost several more people. Kill, eradicate the Axe Gang today. At this moment, the mayor outside the yard suddenly roared and rushed towards the Axe Gang with a red face. Eradicate the Axe Gang. Kill. In an instant, dozens of people responded and started to kill the fleeing members of the Axe Gang. Each of them was filled with murderous intent, as if they wanted to vent out all the humiliation they had suffered from the Axe Gang over the years. There was a mid-stage skin refining man suffering from external hemorrhoids. There is also the one who stole the widow in the early stage of skin refining. There were also some people who had no grudges against the Axe Gang who took advantage of the situation and joined the team chasing the Axe Gang. In an instant, the fleeing Axe Gang disciples were killed one after another. This made the others in the Axe Gang even more desperate. It was not until this moment that they discovered that if Dafeng Town united, there would be no place for their Axe Gang to survive. Boom. In the yard, Zhongshang struck Lu Dao in the chest with an axe, and Lu Dao punched him in the shoulder. Open heaven fist perfection. Lu Dao remained motionless as if nothing was wrong, while Zhongshang was punched away and directly smashed the chair he usually sat in the hall. Kai. Just as Zhongshang landed, another sword light flew towards him. Zhongshang had no choice but to roll up and use his energy and blood to resist Lu Dao's attack with his axe. There was a bang. Zhongshang, armed with an axe, was hit directly against the wall behind the chair, immediately smashing through the wall, and the whole person fell into the small courtyard behind the hall in a panic. Without saying a word, Lu Dao swung his sword again. There was a loud boom, and the entire wall collapsed completely, revealing the small courtyard behind. In the small courtyard, an elegant middle-aged man and a young girl were seen basking in the air. These two people were Shen Guangxi and Zhang Rongrong. Almost at the same time, a pungent smell hit his face. As soon as the smell entered his mouth and nose, Lu Dao felt his brain was slightly dizzy, and then he found that the power of qi and blood in his body was somewhat stagnant. What a powerful poison! Lu Dao couldn't help but marvel. He just took a sip and it was so powerful. When Lu Dao stopped, Zhongshang and Shen Guangxi had already joined together. Zhang Rongrong handed her father an antidote, and then put the antidote into her arms in front of Lu Dao. The next moment, Zhongshang and Shen Guangxi rushed towards Lu Dao in perfect agreement, as if they planned to die together with Lu Dao. Lu Dao glanced at Zhang Rongrong, who was retreating to the side and running away in panic, but did not catch up. Instead, he took out the porcelain bottle he Zongming gave him with his backhand, took out the pills and swallowed them. The pill melts in your mouth. Suddenly, a refreshing feeling flowed into the blood and into the brain. All the discomfort disappeared completely immediately. Don't come here, the yard is poisonous. While detoxifying, Lu Dao did not forget to remind others. When Zhongshang and Shen Guangxi saw this, they couldn't help but curse secretly, stopped the rushing figure, turned around and ran away. The same goes for Zhang Rongrong next to her. Her speed increased instantly and she really ran away in panic. Turn out to be. The antidote Zhang Rongrong took out before was not the real antidote, but another poison that could increase the effectiveness of the poison. The three of them were originally acting, risking Zhang Rongrong to escape with the antidote. In fact, they seduced Lu Dao to chase her, and then pretended to throw the antidote to save their lives. Unexpectedly, Lu Dao actually had pills in his body that could cure the poison that could affect the realm of blood refining, making their plan fail. Buzz. The moment after detoxification, Lu Dao directly drew his bow and shot an arrow. As a whooshing sound broke through the air, the arrow flashed past and was about to hit Zhang Shang. Zhang Shang reacted very quickly. The moment he discovered Lu Dao's bow, he directly pulled Shen Guangxi beside him and threw him behind him while he was struggling. At the same time, he used his body skills to quickly dodge. There was a pop. The arrow shot directly through Shen Guangxi, and a large hole appeared in his stomach that was transparent from front to back, and his intestines flowed out the next moment. Facing Zhang Shang's abandonment, Shen Guangxi didn't have the slightest surprise on his face, as if he had guessed all this. However, facing the realm of blood refining, no matter how fierce he was, there was nothing he could do. After abandoning Shen Guangxi, Zhang Shang and his daughter did not stop at all. They did not even glance at Shen Guangxi and fled directly through the back door of the yard. Lu Dao was slightly surprised when such a scene was played out in front of him, but he no longer cared. Secretly remind yourself that you should be wary of betrayal by those around you in the future. Then he stabbed Shen Guangxi one more time and sent him away. Lu Dao retrieved the arrow and chased after him. After exiting the back door, there was a hillside. Zhang Shang and his daughter fled from both sides. Lu Dao once again bent his bow and drew an arrow. Call out. The arrow flashed across like a streak of light and instantly caught up with Zhang Shang. Get out of my way. It has to be said that the realm of blood refining is really strong. He can still react to the 9th level middle grade bow and arrow. He saw Zhang Shang's whole body's energy and blood flowing, his axe raised, and he faced the incoming arrow. Click. The wish is beautiful, but the reality is very cruel. The axe head was blown to pieces by an arrow and scattered in all directions. Zhang Shang was also shaken back by a huge force, and finally rolled to the ground. Lu Dao, Mr. Lu, please spare your life. We have something to discuss. I can buy your life with a piece of spiritual grass. Seeing Lu Dao coming to kill, Zhang Shang knew that he could no longer escape, so he knelt down and begged for mercy regardless of his dignity. I found a spiritual grass from a broken cave. It can improve my qualifications and give it to the young hero. I only hope that the young hero can spare my life. Don't worry, from now on, Zhang will leave Dafeng Town and never set foot in Dafeng Town again. While talking, Zhang Shang took out a small grass from his arms and offered it with both hands. Oh, Lu is so talented, why does he need spiritual grass? Lu Dao's heart was moved, but he didn't care on his face. He stepped forward and raised the knife in his hand. Since you don't give Zhang a way to survive, Zhang would rather destroy it than leave it to you. Zhang Shang roared in despair. The power of qi and blood circulated, and the spiritual grass in his hand exploded directly, and the grass juice and broken leaves were scattered in all directions. Zhang Shang did not give up resistance. Unfortunately, his strength was far inferior to that of Lu Dao, not only in terms of equipment but also in physical skills. In just a few breaths, Zhang Shang was hacked to death by Lu Dao. Why does a person like you exist? Before he died, Zhang Shangdu looked unwilling. It was his axe gang's bad luck that a monster like Lu Dao appeared in such a remote place like Dafeng Town. Experience plus 1000. Tisk tisk, you are indeed in the realm of blood refining. One strike is worth 1000 experience points. Lu Dao was very surprised, looking at Zhang Shang's body as if he saw a treasure. Oh, what a pity for this spiritual grass. After getting rid of Zhang Shang, Lu Dao carefully searched the ground and only found some broken leaves. I don't know if it's still useful. I'll try it later. Lu Dao also found a prescription for elixirs from Zhang Shang. Lu Dao put away Zhang Shang's body, turned around and chased Zhang Rongrong again. Compared to Zhang Rongrong, Lu Dao's movements were undoubtedly several times faster. Even after a delay, he quickly caught up with Zhang Rongrong. Lu, young Master Lu, can you spare the little girl's life? Although the little girl is the daughter of the leader of the Axe Gang, she has never done anything harmful to nature. Please spare your life, young master. Seeing Lu Dao catching up so quickly, Zhang Rongrong suddenly felt that there was no hope of escape, and knelt down directly on the ground. She said pitifully, "Moreover, the little girl is still a perfect body. I heard that the realm of blood refining will increase people's desires, and the young hero is right. At this time of youth, if the young hero is willing, the little girl is willing to devote herself to the young hero, just hoping that the young hero will show mercy." Quote. As she said that, Zhang Rongrong stretched out her hand to pull on her chest, and the two hemispheres suddenly came into Lu Dao's eyes, making his eyes widen. When Zhang Rongrong saw this, she was secretly happy. She used her right hand to pull off her coat and underwear, revealing her perfect breasts. When she saw Lu Dao's face looked frightened, he yelled, "Stop." Zhang Rongrong was startled and stopped subconsciously. Lu Dao yelled anxiously, "The bold demon girl dares to challenge the power of Emperor Wangwang. If you don't die, who will?" As soon as he finished speaking, he swung out his sword. A big good head rises into the sky. There was still a look of disbelief on her face, as if she didn't expect Lu Dao to kill her so decisively. You must know that she is one of the best in the entire Daifeng town in terms of both figure and appearance. She is also a young girl with a perfect body. There are countless men who covet her body, but she does not like her. Even if he wanted to seduce Shen Guangxi, he would just squeeze her breasts through her clothes. Now she is willing to commit herself to Lu Dao, even exposing her perfect figure in broad daylight regardless of her dignity and reputation, but what she gets is a knife to her head. It's really frustrating. Alas. Lu Dao looked at Zhang Rongrong lying in a pool of blood, his face full of regret. What can't you say in private? You have to provoke the river crab emperor. How can you, a mere skin refining realm, offend such an existence? You are looking for death, and you almost implicated me. The river crab emperor is in the heavens and the worlds. Who dares to provoke him? Who can defeat him? You have to provoke him. Lu can only bear the pain and kill you. Lu Dao shook his head and commented, "What a pity, this figure is really great, this face is even more beautiful, less than 20 years old, and a perfect body. Oh my God, it's a sin, a sin." At this moment, a man chased from not far away. It was the mayor. The old man in his 80s was radiant at this moment, as if he was 10 years younger in an instant, and his face was flushed with excitement. When he chased the Axe Gang before, he killed 3 late skin refining people by himself. Because he was worried about Lu Dao's safety, he hurriedly chased after him. Seeing Lu Dao muttering in a daze and constantly confessing to Zhang Rongrong's body, he hurriedly said from a distance, "Lu Dao, you don't have to blame yourself. Although Zhang Rongrong is beautiful, she is not a kind person. Once someone looked at her twice more, she actually ordered someone to gouge out his eyes. She also rode a horse on the street and killed a child, causing him to lose his legs, and because there was a woman with a better figure than her, she cut off her breasts and fed them to the dog. She is extremely vicious." As if he remembered those bad things, the red light on the mayor's face gradually faded, and he sighed and said, "In short, she is extremely sinful. You killed her to eliminate harm for the people. You don't have to blame yourself, let alone feel guilty." Lu Dao came back to his senses, coughed to cover up his embarrassment, and smiled. "Don't worry, Mayor, Lu Dao knows all this. What a good child, you can't bear to kill a bad guy." The mayor admired Lu Dao's character and strength. The mayor looked around but didn't see Zhang Shang's body. He asked anxiously, "Lu Dao, where is Zhang Shang? Did he escape?" When he thought of the consequences of Zhang Shang's escape, the mayor's face turned pale. Lu Dao said, "No, Zhang Shang is dead." "That's good, that's good." The mayor was relieved after hearing this. He felt relieved. For decades, he was really frustrated as the mayor. As the head of a town, he had no way to deal with the Axe Gang. In the end, it was a 17-year-old boy who completely eradicated it. Fortunately, there was Lu Dao, otherwise, I don't know how long the hard days of Daifeng Town would last. Lu Dao asked, "By the way, Mayor, where are the other members of the Axe Gang?" "Don't worry, we killed them all, not one was left." The mayor said, "Even those who didn't gather at the Axe Gang's lair, there were others chasing them, they definitely couldn't get away." Lu Dao also breathed a sigh of relief, then thought of something. his face changed drastically, and he hurriedly said, "Oh, no, I'm going to search for the spoils, don't let anyone take them away." After saying that, Lu Dao hurriedly jumped towards the Axe Gang's compound. "Don't worry, no one dares to move, they're all left for you." The mayor smiled, waved his hand and shouted to Lu Dao, but Lu Dao soon disappeared in front of him. The mayor picked up Zhang Rongrong's body and head and walked back briskly. Back at the Axe Gang, Lu Dao found that everything in the yard was still there, and no one else came in to search. Suddenly, Lu Dao looked excited and began to search the yard. This is the Axe Gang. Over the years, the Axe Gang had plundered a lot of money, and now, it was all his. However, what made Lu Dao speechless was that he didn't get much money after searching. All the gold, silver, and even copper coins added together were only about 1,000 taels of silver. As for some jade pendants and jewelry, he estimated that they were not worth much. It's not that bad, how could the Axe Gang be so poor? Lu Dao was a little dumbfounded and felt it was unreasonable. He calculated that the purchasing power of 1 tael of silver was equivalent to 1,000 when he lived in China. This 1,000 taels of silver was only 1 million. This is Dafeng Town, the Axe Gang that has been established for decades, how can there be so little money? Unable to find the reason, Lu Dao could only helplessly accept the reality of his overnight wealth and ruin. Fortunately, he found some other things he needed, such as the cultivation method of the blood refining realm, and 2 small bottles of blood. Several other methods and potions. A tiny grass root was found in a potted plant. Lu Dao estimated that it should be the root of the spiritual grass. Lu Dao put all these things, including the axe, iron block, and chopsticks thrown out before, into the system space. Then, he threw all the bodies of Yang Feng and the 11 people into the yard, and then took the long knife and slashed around the yard. Crazy experience. Experience plus 290. Experience plus 276. Seeing the rapid increase in experience on the long knife, Lu Dao worked harder. In a short time, the yard of the Axe Gang collapsed completely and became a ruin. Knife. 7,631 10,000ths 9th level middle grade, sharp blade, cutting iron like mud, can easily cut ordinary iron. Looking at the experience of the long knife, Lu Dao did not continue. His main purpose was to burn the Axe Gang's nest and deal with these bodies at the same time to avoid the plague. Experience was just a side job. At this time, the mayor also came back with Zhang Rongrong's body. He seemed to know what Lu Dao was going to do, and threw the body and head into the ruins. "Young Master Lu, here." A man next to him handed over a torch. "Thank you." Lu Dao took the torch and threw it into the ruins under the gaze of countless people, setting the bedding, clothes, etc. on fire. Boom! The fire soared into the sky and spread to the entire yard in a short time. From then on, the Axe Gang would become a thing of the past. By the way, if I made this torch, burning such a yard and so many bodies, how much experience would I gain? I'm afraid it would be enough to upgrade to the 8th level lower grade. Lu Dao felt a little regretful that he didn't make a torch before. Woo woo. Good death, they all deserve to die, kill them all, woo woo. In front of the crowd, the young woman who served Zhang Shang hugged a 7 or 8-year-old child tightly, crying and shouting at the top of her lungs, with a somewhat crazy look, looking at the burning mansion, her eyes filled with endless hatred and humiliation. "It's good to be alive, it's good to be alive, you still have a child." Next to her, the neighbors knew her miserable experience and kept comforting her, fearing that she would commit suicide, and gave her hope of life with the child. "Good. Burn well. Good. Well extinguished, the Axe Gang is finally destroyed. Dad and Mom, Brother Lu has avenged you. Son, did you see it? The Axe Gang has finally been eradicated. Lu Dao, Lu Dao, Lu Dao." Looking at the Axe Gang on fire, everyone was still excitedly celebrating the demise of the Axe Gang at first, and some people knelt on the ground to pray for the dead. Gradually, everyone began to shout Lu Dao's name. Finally, the whole Dafeng town was filled with deafening shouts, and the name Lu Dao resounded through the sky. Ahem, thank you all, I have something else to do, I'll leave first. Lu Dao was a little embarrassed by being shouted at. After all, at least hundreds, or even thousands of people shouted together. He had never experienced such a scene, and he just slipped away. Some children and girls couldn't help chasing Lu Dao. But Lu Dao was too fast, they couldn't catch up at all, and could only stop panting. Mr. Lu, thank you for eliminating the bully for Daifeng Town. Shuiyu Tower will always be open to you in the future. When Lu Dao passed by the brothel in Daifeng Town, the madam upstairs excitedly greeted Lu Dao, and Lu Dao couldn't help but whispered, "Do you want money?" "No, no, how dare you ask for money from Mr. Lu?" The madam laughed so hard that she was shaking with laughter, and shouted directly in the other direction of Shuiyu Tower, "Girls, come over here and greet our Mr. Lu." Lu Dao's eyes lit up when he heard it. "Grandpa, look at him, he's really, a pervert." The kung fu shop was not far from here, and He Yuanshuang happened to see Lu Dao's infatuated look, and couldn't help but kick his feet hard, almost biting his teeth in anger. What's your tone, Yuanshuang, you can't really like that boy, right?" He Zongming was a little dumbfounded, he just met him once. "No, who would like him, He Yuanshuang stared at Lu Dao angrily, clenching his silver teeth. Seeing this, He Zongming didn't understand, he couldn't help but slap his forehead and sighed, "What a sin." "Lu Xiaoxia, come up and play." The footsteps flowed, and soon a group of women came to the window, throwing flirtatious eyes at Lu Dao. Lu Dao took a closer look, his expression suddenly became solemn, and he said in a concentrated voice, "Thank you all for your kindness, my martial arts heart is firm, and it is not appropriate to linger in the colorful world of the world, goodbye." Lu Dao turned around and resolutely left Shuiyu Tower. "Oh, young Master Lu, you are disgusted with me, right? I am already 27 years old, and my youth is gone, I am not worthy of young Master Lu's eyes." Listening to the jokes behind him, Lu Dao hurriedly quickened his pace, fearing that he could not resist the temptation, and went upstairs. Lu Dao quickly walked to the martial arts shop, and when he saw He Zongming and He Yuanshuang, he was about to say hello, but HMPH. The two of them snorted angrily, turned their heads away, and didn't want to pay attention to him. As expected of a grandfather and grandson, their movements and expressions are surprisingly consistent, just exactly the same. "Woof woof woof, I'm back. Brother Dao, you're back." They were still some distance away from home, but the big black dog and Wu Ming ran back excitedly. The big black dog kept circling around Lu Dao, wagging its tail. Wu Ming held Lu Dao's hand and asked in a chattering voice, "Brother Dao, did you go to the Axe Gang? Did you destroy the Axe Gang? Will the Axe Gang never bully us again?" They had heard the earth-shaking shouts in Daifeng Town a long time ago, and they were all very excited. "Yes, the Axe Gang will never bully us again." Lu Dao touched the little guy's head, feeling very happy, and said, "Let's go home, Brother Dao has prepared a big surprise for you." "Big surprise? What big surprise? Brother Dao, did you buy sesame cakes?" Wu Ming's eyes were shining brightly, that was his favorite. "Don't keep thinking about eating sesame cakes, keep guessing. Did you buy candy? No, keep guessing. How is it? Are you surprised?" In the yard, Lu Dao put a book of physical training in Wu Ming's hand and asked with a smile. Wu Ming stared blankly at the secret book of martial arts in his hand, his eyes suddenly turned red, and he hugged Lu Dao's neck fiercely, sobbing, "Brother Dao, you are so good to me, woo, I can finally practice martial arts." "Okay, don't cry, a real man, shed blood but not tears, don't let people laugh at you." Lu Dao gently patted the little guy's back to soothe his emotions, and said, "Practice well in the future, don't lose Brother Dao's face." "Well, Brother Dao, I will practice hard." Wu Ming let go of Lu Dao's neck, wiped away his tears, and then seemed to think of something, and asked worriedly, "Brother Dao, if I practice this martial arts, will the martial arts shop?" "No, don't worry." "Well," Wu Ming nodded heavily, and then carefully turned over the martial arts, treating it as a treasure, for fear that too much movement would cause the pages to be torn. Gradually, Wu Ming was absorbed in reading it, enjoying the secret book of martial arts. Lu Dao smiled with relief and also read the martial arts on the side. However, he was reading the blood-refining realm technique that Zhongshang was practicing, a yellow-grade top-grade blood-quenching technique, the demonic elephant blood-quenching technique. Half an hour later, he finished reading the technique. Lu Dao looked at his system panel. Name, Lu Dao. Cultivation. Early stage of blood-refining realm. Techniques. Demonic Elephant Blood Quenching Technique 0/1 Entry Level Follow the Wind Step Perfect Subduing Tiger Sword Technique Perfect Open Heaven Fist Perfect Barbarian Bull Body Refining Technique Perfect Wandering Body Technique Perfect Chasing Star Arrow Technique Perfect Cloak Sword Technique Perfect Thunder Fist Perfect Skills Lose Hammer Technique Perfect Fortune Points 161. After continuously making and upgrading chopsticks, Lu Dao gained a lot of fortune points, allowing all his techniques and skills to be added to the perfect realm. Of course, Wu Ming also made an indelible contribution to this, as he gained a lot of chopstick experience. The Demonic Elephant Blood Tempering Technique is a top-grade yellow-grade technique, a technique for practicing the blood-refining realm. However, like other yellow-grade techniques, the initial point required for entry is only 1 point. System: add points. Fortune points -1, entry. Fortune points -10, minor success. Fortune points -20, mastery. Fortune points -30, major success. Fortune points -50, perfection. The Demonic Elephant Blood Tempering Technique Perfect. Fortune points 50. In a short period of time, Lu Dao filled up the Demonic Elephant Blood Tempering Technique and could start practicing to improve his cultivation in the blood refining realm. However, Lu Dao did not plan to practice for the time being, and he still had to ask He Zongming for advice. He got 2 bottles of blood from the Axe Gang. According to his guess, it should be something for practicing the blood refining realm, but he still had to ask if it was true. What's wrong? If you don't understand something, you can ask me. Seeing Wu Ming frowning and looking painful, Lu Dao touched the little guy's head. Brother Dao, this is so difficult, even more difficult than the books I read in school. Wu Ming complained to Lu Dao. Lu Dao smiled and said, of course it's difficult, otherwise, wouldn't Daifeng Town be full of people practicing skin refining and as many people practicing blood refining as dogs? Before Wu Ming could speak, the big black dog started barking. Woof woof woof, don't treat me as if I don't exist. Lu Dao laughed and began to explain the barbarian bull body refining exercise to Wu Ming, asking him to understand the exercise first, and then explain to him the movements, breathing rhythm, timing of mooing during practice, and so on. With someone who had fully understood the barbarian bull body refining exercise explaining it to him, Wu Ming's understanding of the exercise continued to deepen. Later, Lu Dao even taught Wu Ming to practice it step by step, asking him to first sense the vitality between heaven and earth with his pores. As long as he could sense the vitality of heaven and earth and absorb it slowly, he would be considered to have entered the door. Unfortunately, after practicing for an hour, Wu Ming still did not enter the door. Don't be anxious, don't be discouraged, cultivation is not that simple. Many people take months to get started, and many people stay at the entry level for years. Take your time. Lu Dao comforted Wu Ming, who looked a little depressed, and started to light the fire and forge iron. Wu Ming also stopped practicing and helped pull the bellows. Dang dang dang. Soon, the crisp sound of forging iron was heard again in the Lu family yard. This time, the forging iron was to make an iron armor for He Zongming to repay his debts. With the perfect Lu hammer method, Lu Dao's iron-making speed increased greatly. In a moment, a rough iron armor was successfully forged. Next, Lu Dao sent Wu Ming away and started to gain experience to upgrade the iron armor. Originally, He Zongming said that as long as he entered the level, it would be fine, but for Lu Dao, there was not much difference between the lower and middle grades, it just took a little more time to gain experience. Of course, if you want to get the upper grade, it is still a bit time-consuming. After thinking about it, Lu Dao took out Zhang Shang's body, put the iron armor on him, and then Lu Dao began to punch the iron armor one punch after another. The experience of the iron armor also increased crazily. Lu Dao left Zhang Shang's body just to gain experience. Experience plus 100. Experience plus 100. After several battles during this period, Lu Dao found a pattern. Ordinary people or dogs, hammering or scratching the iron armor, each experience increases by 1, while the skin refining level adds 10, and the blood refining level adds 100. The same is true for knives and arrows. The experience gained by cutting people of different realms is also different, and it seems to be 10 times the difference. Of course, if you kill someone, you will gain more experience. As for chopsticks, there is no difference between him and Wu Ming in stirring them. He suspects that it may be related to the objects being stirred, not the person using the chopsticks. This will be clear after trying it later. It didn't take long for the iron armor to gain experience and successfully upgrade to the 9th level upper grade. Lu Dao took the iron armor and went out, heading straight to the martial arts shop. When he arrived at the martial arts shop, He Zongming's face darkened as soon as he saw Lu Dao. He didn't have a good face for him. He always felt that Lu Dao would seduce his granddaughter, which made him unhappy with Lu Dao. However, when Lu Dao silently took out the iron armor, He Zongming instantly forgot all his dissatisfaction with Lu Dao, and happily pulled Lu Dao into the shop, and asked He Yuanshuang to make tea for Lu Dao. Is this really 9th level high-grade armor? In the shop, He Zongming grabbed the armor and rubbed it carefully, with an unbelievable look on his face. He didn't expect that just a short time later, Lu Dao would put a brand new 9th grade high-grade iron armor in his hands. He knew that Lu Dao had a piece of 9th grade high-quality iron armor, but the one in front of him was obviously not that one. This one was obviously just made not long ago. At this moment, He Zongming felt that no matter what amazing feats Lu Dao performed in the future, he could accept it. This young man is really too outrageous. Of course, He Zongming also understood that why Lu Dao became so defiant, it must not be as simple as his sudden increase in understanding. Otherwise, how could he explain the stored treasure? But he didn't ask too much. This was Lu Dao's secret. "Senior, are you still satisfied?" Lu Dao asked with a smile. "This is too expensive. The 3 skills I gave you are not even worth 1/10 of the armor. I deserve it." He Zongming couldn't hold back the joy on his face, but when he thought of the difference in value between the two, he could only reluctantly push the armor in front of Lu Dao. "Lu Dao, I can't have this armor, you'd better give me another 9th level low grade one." "Bar. Senior, since the armor has been given away, there is absolutely no reason to take it back." Lu Dao pushed the armor back to He Zongming again and said sternly, "Besides, the pill that Senior gave to Junior before saved my life. I haven't thanked Senior for saving my life yet. The pill is not worth much, so how can it be a life-saving pill?" Just as He Zongming was about to continue to refuse, Lu Dao said directly, "Senior, compared with life, a piece of iron armor is nothing, so just accept it, Senior." Lu Dao added, "Besides, the junior still has many things to ask the senior. If the senior refuses, the junior will have no shame to continue to stay." Okay, then I will accept it shamelessly." Only then did He Zongming accept the iron armor, and at the same time his feelings for Lu Dao rose to the top, saying, "I keep my word. From now on, you can take whatever skills you want in the shop. If you don't understand anything, you can always do it. Come and ask me." Lu Dao blinked and asked, "I wonder if this includes the blood-quenching technique practiced by my seniors." "Good boy, you are planning to use my blood-quenching technique." He Zongming couldn't help but laugh. No wonder this boy made the armor so well. He Zongming didn't want to hide his secrets and went directly into the house to get the skills. "Brother Lu, drink tea." He Yuanshuang made a bowl of tea for Lu Dao and called him Brother Lu in a crisp voice. "Thank you, little sister." Lu Dao took the tea and muttered a lot. He didn't care about his image at all, and he didn't forget to ask, "What's the name of the little sister?" My name is He Yuanshuang." The girl's face was a little hot and a little shy. "Yuan Shuang, your name is really nice. How old are you?" Lu Dao praised him and was about to continue asking when he saw He Zongming's mouth twitching and walking out with a dark face. Only this time, he didn't stop Lu Dao and seemed to let things take their own course. "This is my blood-quenching technique, a top-grade Huang-level technique." Lu Dao sighed slightly when he heard this, and he guessed that the skills practiced by He Zongming were probably only top-grade Huang-level skills. Lu Dao took a quick glance and found that this technique was no better than the demonic elephant blood-tempering technique, and was even slightly inferior. However, Lu Dao did not return the technique to He Zongming, but took it into the system space. Although he doesn't plan to practice, he may need it in the future. Lu Dao asked, "Senior, how much is the value of Huang Jia's high-grade blood-quenching technique?" 1,000 taels. Lu Dao couldn't help but be surprised when he heard this, so expensive. 10 times as much as other techniques of the same level. He Zongming said, Of course, the exercises to improve one's cultivation are naturally more expensive than other exercises of the same level. After all, the martial arts world is mainly based on cultivation. What about weapons? What is the general price of advanced weapons? Lu Dao asked about weapons again. He didn't understand many things in the martial arts world, so he took the opportunity to ask He Zongming about it. The value of entry-level weapons is relatively high. Generally, low-grade 9th grade weapons are worth 1,000 taels, mid-grade 9th grade weapons are 2,000 taels, high-grade 9th grade weapons are 4,000 taels, and 8th grade weapons are more than 10,000 taels. As for iron armor, He Zongming took a deep breath and explained to Lu Dao, iron armor is more expensive than weapons of the same level, and the difference is generally about 5 times. Therefore, your 9th level top-grade iron armor is worth a full 20,000 taels of silver. Quote. When Lu Dao heard this, he couldn't help but his eyes shone. The advanced weapons are so valuable, so won't I give them away in the future? Seeing Lu Dao's money-obsessed look, He Zongming asked with a smile, now, do you still plan to give this armor to me? Senior, this armor has been yours before. Lu Dao smiled faintly, it was just a piece of iron and he didn't care at all. He can build at any time he wants. Lu Dao did not continue the topic. He took out 2 small porcelain bottles from the system space and placed them on the table. He said, Senior, please help me take a look at this. I found this from the Axe Gang. This blood is used to improve blood refining. Is it someone who has achieved a certain level of cultivation? He Zongming nodded and said, yes, this is made from the blood of ferocious beasts and some medicinal herbs. A bottle costs 100 taels. No wonder. Lu Dao suddenly realized after hearing this, no wonder the Axe Gang only had so little money left, and it was probably all used by Zhang Shang. The blood-quenching technique alone is 1,000 taels, and there are other techniques, martial arts, plus training consumption, the training of other younger brothers. The expenses are indeed quite large. Lu Dao no longer thought about it. Now he has 2 bottles of blood in his hand. 1,000 taels of silver can buy 10 more bottles. He doesn't know how far 12 bottles of blood can improve his cultivation. Lu Dao suddenly thought of something and asked again, Senior, my cultivation has improved too fast in the past 2 days. Do you think my foundation will be unstable? Lu Dao was actually very confident about his situation, but he still planned to ask for advice. After all, he was a novice in this field and had no experience. Ask for more advice and be safer. When He Zongming heard this, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but twitch. This was not only too fast, but also unreasonable. He didn't answer but asked, do you know how many realms there are in the martial arts world? I know, there are 9 realms: skin refining, blood refining, bone refining, viscera refining, innate, master, divine platform, martial king and martial god. He Zongming nodded, yes, then if you think about it carefully, what is the connection between the first 4 realms? Well, it's all about body training, mainly about tempering the body. By the way, the first 4 realms are mainly about body refining. In fact, these 4 realms can be regarded as one big realm, because each of these 4 realms only has 3 small realms, the early stage, the middle stage, and the late stage. From the innate starting from the realm, each realm has 9 smaller realms. He Zongming continued, so, you have now gone from the early stage of skin refining to the early stage of blood refining. It seems that you have improved to a big level. In fact, it can also be seen as improving to 3 small levels. The further you go, the harder it is to improve. Quote, you don't have to worry. If you feel that your foundation is unstable, you can find a higher level technique before Shantian and refine it again. Moreover, even after being born, you can still continue to refine your body. Thank you for your guidance, Senior. Lu Dao bowed and thanked him. Through this conversation, Lu Dao gained a lot and gained a little understanding of the martial arts world. Afterwards, He Zongming left Lu Dao at home for dinner, and he saw that Lu Dao hadn't had lunch yet. Lu Dao just didn't want to go home to cook, so he agreed. While waiting for the meal, Lu Dao dived into the bookshelf and selected various exercises. After some searching, Lu Dao gained a lot. There are hundreds of books on the bookshelf, among which there are only dozens of books on martial arts, but there are also some secret techniques, such as pulse-breaking hand, heart-breaking palm, disguise technique, etc. There are also some books that are information, mainly introducing some things in the world of martial arts. For example, sects, dynasties, ferocious beasts, monsters, medicinal materials, etc. opened Lu Dao's horizons. Finally, when Lu Dao learned that He Zongming still had the originals in his hands, he directly swept all the books from the bookshelf and put them into the system space. Lu Dao plans to collect more skills and then combine the advantages of these skills to create his own unique skills. In particular, he wanted to know whether skills could be upgraded as quickly as items to improve their level. It was actually still early for dinner. Mainly because Lu Dao hadn't eaten yet, He Zongming asked his daughter-in-law to cook a table of dishes. During the meal, Lu Dao always had an illusion that He Yuanshuang's mother looked at him like a mother-in-law examining her son-in-law, asking all kinds of questions about his character, personality, future plans, etc. This made Lu Dao feel like he was sitting on pins and needles, which was more difficult to deal with than fighting the Axe Gang alone. Fortunately, nothing else was mentioned, otherwise, Lu Dao was really afraid that he would not be able to help but flee. After a meal, Lu Dao, sweating profusely, went to the medicine shop to buy 5 bottles of fierce beast blood. It's not that he didn't want to buy more, but there were only 5 bottles left in the medicine shop. The medicine shop restocks once a month, with a maximum of 10 bottles at a time. Several people in the blood refining realm in Daifeng Town order 1 bottle per month, and only the leader of the Axe Gang buys more every month. And there are still 10 days before the next restock. Lu Dao had no choice but to decide to use up 7 bottles of blood first, see the progress of his cultivation, and then make plans. Next, Lu Dao went to the herbal medicine shop to buy some herbs, preparing to refine pills that could improve his qualifications. These herbs were very expensive, and Lu Dao spent a full 400 taels. As soon as he got home, Lu Dao started to get busy. Wash all the herbs, broken spiritual grass leaves, etc., and then dry them. Then he started to cook. That's right, Lu Dao didn't know how to make pills, and he didn't have a pill furnace, so he didn't waste his luck points to improve his pill recipe proficiency. Naturally, he could only pour all the herbs together and mix them into meatballs like he usually cooks. At first, Lu Dao planned to make only 1 pill ball, but after looking at his big black dog, he decided to divide it into 2, and then thought of Wu Ming, and finally decided to make 3. I don't know if Lu Dao's cooking skills are too poor, or if the herbs are too difficult to refine. A few minutes later, my pill refining skills are also unmatched. Lu Dao looked at the 3 burnt pill balls in the pot, couldn't help but sigh and laugh at himself. But the good news is that there are text introductions on the 3 pill balls. Dust removal pill. 0/1. Are you sure this is a pill? It's all fuzzy. Can this thing really be eaten? Is there anyone who is not afraid of death and dares to eat this thing? Quote. Lu Dao looked at the text expressionlessly, and he was already accustomed to the system's ridicule. How can this pill be upgraded? The things I made mainly increase experience when used. This pill should also increase experience when taken, but looking at the burnt dust removal pill, Lu Dao was a little embarrassed. He really couldn't eat it. Moreover, Lu Dao was also worried whether it would be poisonous. Although these medicinal materials were made according to the pill recipe, he was not good at alchemy, and he was really worried about the dust removal pill he made. Forget it, catch a mouse and try it. With Lu Dao's cultivation and strength, catching a mouse should not be too easy. After Lu Dao caught the mouse, he scooped a small bowl of water and gently soaked a dust removal pill in the bowl. Then he used chopsticks to dip the water and feed the mouse. Squeak! The mouse screamed and struggled frantically, but Lu Dao's hand was like an iron clamp, holding it tightly. It had no chance to escape and could only swallow the potion in humiliation. Although it was just a little potion, it was the essence of a bunch of precious medicinal materials and dregs, and the medicinal effect was very strong. Squeak! The next moment, the mouse rolled its eyes and looked like it was about to die. At the same time, Lu Dao found that the experience on the dust-removing pill had increased. Upgrade. Dust-removing pill. 0/10 pill. It doesn't exist. It's just a ball of medicine mixed with many medicinal materials. Ordinary people will have diarrhea and become trance after eating it, which affects their health. Hee, I'm really a genius. Lu Dao smiled. then took 2 bowls, dipped the other 2 dust-removing pills in water, and fed them to the mouse. Squeak. Ignoring the mouse's protest, Lu Dao fed it twice in succession, and then released the mouse with only 1 breath left. In this way, all 3 dust-removing pills were upgraded once. Next, Lu Dao took out another bowl, dipped it in water, and then took it himself. He believed that with his cultivation in the blood-refining realm, it should not be difficult to resist the release, function and mental attack of this dust-removing pill. Sure enough, Lu Dao did not feel any discomfort after taking it with chopsticks dipped in water. In this way, the experience of the pills continued to increase, and soon, the experience of the pills was enough to upgrade to the entry level. Upgrade. Dust-removing pill. 0.009th level inferior pill, can improve the root bone qualification, 100% to improve the qualification to the lower level of ordinary products. Note, all people, the lowest qualification is the lower level of ordinary products. If this pill is taken by people of the lower level of ordinary products, it can improve the qualification by 50% on this basis. Then continue to upgrade. Lu Dao did not stop and continued to brush experience. Dust removing pill. 0.010,000th grade middle grade pill, 80% chance of raising the qualification to middle grade ordinary pill. This actually reduces the probability. Lu Dao frowned slightly. This was a little different from what he expected. But after thinking about it carefully, it seemed reasonable. Lu Dao did not study it anymore, thought about it, and called Wu Ming over to brush the experience together. Otherwise, if he wanted to brush the experience of 3 pills to a higher level by himself, it would probably take a lot of time, and his mouth and tongue could not bear it. In this way, 2 people and 1 dog, each with a bowl in front of them, and then quickly licked the water in the bowl. Ha ha ha, Brother Dao, we look so stupid. Such a scene was so funny that Wu Ming couldn't help laughing. Don't laugh, lick it quickly. An hour passed in a blink of an eye, and Lu Dao felt that his mouth and tongue were almost stiff. In this hour, he licked 10,000 times. At the beginning, the speed was very fast, and then it became slower and slower. If he hadn't used the power of blood and qi to constantly soothe his mouth and tongue, he would have been unable to hold on. Lu Dao was like this, and Wu Ming and the big black dog had already fallen to the ground. And the experience they had brushed was less than 5,000. Don't be lazy, continue after you have rested, and I will improve your qualifications later. When Wu Ming and the big black dog heard about improving their qualifications, their eyes lit up and they got up and continued to lick. Unfortunately, they only lasted for a short while before they collapsed on the ground again. Dust removing pill. 0.001,000th grade upper grade pill, 60% chance to upgrade aptitude to upper grade ordinary grade. It has been reduced by 20% again, so the 8th grade lower grade pill will only have 40%. This probability is a bit low. I don't know what aptitude is above ordinary grade. Lu Dao was a little helpless. The probability dropped too much. 60% was acceptable, but 40% was a matter of luck. As for 20%, Lu Dao didn't consider it at all. It didn't depend on luck, but on personal luck. If he really had such luck, his talent wouldn't be so bad. Should I take it directly, or upgrade it again? Lu Dao was a little worried. Don't think that he has a point-adding system, which can upgrade various skills, secrets, and skills at will. But in fact, his aptitude is very poor. Aptitude and comprehension are equally important. Now Lu Dao has a system, so he doesn't need to worry about comprehension, but aptitude. If he can improve his aptitude, there is no doubt that he will practice faster, whether it is refining potions or blood. This can save a lot of time and improve cultivation and strength faster. Forget it, let's be safe for now. After all, I still have a root of a spiritual grass. Maybe I can cultivate a new spiritual grass. Then I'll see if I can try and turn a bicycle into a motorcycle. After thinking for a while, Lu Dao decided not to upgrade the dust-removing pill. Instructing the man and the dog to continue licking the potion, Lu Dao began to practice. Lu Dao wanted to compare his current practice speed with the practice speed after taking the pill and improving his aptitude. Practice, look at my current refining speed. Lu Dao took out a bottle of blood, took a small sip, about 1/3 of it, and then began to swallow and refine it. The blood looks very fresh. Not only does it not have any fishy smell, but it has a faint fragrance, a little sweet, like emergency syrup. It is somewhat inaccurate to say it is blood, it should be said to be blood medicine. Boom. The blood medicine slid into his throat. As Lu Dao performed his exercises, the blood medicine instantly blended into Lu Dao's heart. Not a trace of the blood medicine entered his stomach and was digested. Demon elephant blood tempering skill perfect. As the blood medicine blended into his heart, Lu Dao felt that the blood all over his body was boiling instantly, as if he was cheering for joy, and his whole body seemed to be on fire. Lu Dao stabilized his body and continued to run the exercises to refine the effects of the medicine. As the blood medicine was refined and its effects took effect, Lu Dao felt that the blood in his body seemed to be changing little by little. Although it was very subtle, he could feel it. This is a sign that the blood is undergoing metamorphosis. This is the practice of blood refining realm, which mainly tempers the blood in the whole body and allows the blood to undergo transformation. After transformation once, you will be promoted to the middle stage of blood refining. After 2 transformations, you will be promoted to the late stage of blood refining. After 3 times, you can naturally break through to the realm of bone forging. Time passed, and after an hour, Lu Dao stopped. It actually took an hour to refine 1/3 of it. Doesn't it take 3 hours to refine 1 bottle? This cultivation speed has slowed down immediately. Lu Dao was indeed a little dissatisfied with this speed, it was too slow. Once you adapt to the rapid increase, it will be difficult to adapt to the sudden drop in speed. Fortunately, there are elixirs that can improve my qualifications. I'm really grateful to Zhang Shang. However, this fool destroyed the spiritual grass directly. Otherwise, with the complete spiritual grass, the elixir I refined would definitely be better. It's such a pity. Quote. Lu Dao felt a little regretful, but at this point, there was nothing he could do. Next, Lu Dao began to take the dust removal pill to improve his root and bone qualifications. The effect of the dust removal pill is not as strong as that of the blood pill. It has a strong fragrance. The pill melts in the mouth and then flows through the blood to all parts of the body. Gradually, Lu Dao felt itchy, as if there were countless ants crawling on his body. Not only on the skin, but also in the flesh and blood, even the bones. But this kind of itching is very mild, not to the point where I can't help but scratch it. It's numb, and I can hold it back forcibly. But when Lu Dao became familiar with this numbness, he felt a little relieved. This reminded him of the blind massage he had received before, which was 10 times more comfortable than that experience. Especially the feeling of comfort coming from his bones made Lu Dao unable to help but moan. Not long after, an unpleasant smell filled the yard. Oh, what does it smell like? It stinks. Wu Ming was not far away and smelled the smell instantly. Finally, he found out that the smell came from Lu Dao. He was shocked and said, "Brother Dao, why do you smell so bad? Do you have diarrhea?" The big black dog even looked at Lu Dao with disgust and continued to lick. "Shut up, this is the filth discharged from Brother Dao's body after he improved his qualifications." Lu Dao rolled his eyes, and then carefully sensed his whole body. He found that after his qualifications improved, his whole body felt different. He seemed to be more relaxed. No, it should be said that he was more agile. Moreover, even if he is not running the technique, he can still vaguely sense the vitality of heaven and earth in the air. He had never been able to sense this before. It can be seen how much his body has changed after his qualifications were improved. Lu Dao looked at Wu Ming, who was curious and planned to stimulate him, saying, "Xiao Ming, hurry up and lick the water. When your qualifications improve, you can sense the vitality of heaven and earth without practicing." Sure enough, when Wu Ming heard this, he immediately became energetic and shouted, "Really? So magical." Lu Dao didn't wait to say anything and started licking directly, full of enthusiasm. Seeing this, the big black dog was not to be outdone and licked the water crazily. Lu Dao was also very pleased to see the 2 guys working so hard. After taking a shower in the toilet, Lu Dao began to practice again. This time, Lu Dao swallowed the remaining 2/3 of the bottle of blood medicine. Boom. As he practiced, Lu Dao felt that his efficiency in refining blood medicine had indeed improved, and the improvement was not small. He couldn't tell how big it was exactly. But half an hour later, Lu Dao knew. He has completely refined 2/3 of the blood medicine. Before, when the qualifications were not improved, 1/3 of the blood medicine took 1 hour. Now, after the qualifications were improved, 2/3 of the blood medicine took only half an hour. Obviously, his refining speed increased 4 times. This also means that from a low-level ordinary person to an intermediate-level ordinary person, and then to an upper-level person, the improvement should be twice as high. This improvement is not a big one. It's so exciting. I will try my best to find spiritual herbs that can improve my qualifications in the future. I want to continue to improve. How could Lu Dao be satisfied with the sweetness? However, this kind of spiritual grass is probably very rare, and he is lucky to get it. According to my estimation, by refining 4 more bottles of blood medicine, I should be able to reach the middle stage of blood refining. After refining a bottle of blood medicine, Lu Dao could feel that his blood was not far away from transformation. In about 5 bottles of blood medicine, he could successfully transform and be promoted from the early stage of blood refining to the middle stage of blood refining. But then the problem came. He was short of blood medicine. The next time the medicine shop would be restocked was 10 days later, and Lu Dao couldn't practice for almost 10 days, which made him feel uncomfortable. Do we have to leave Daifeng Town in advance? According to his plan, he wanted to improve his cultivation to a higher level before leaving Daifeng Town, the novice village, so that he would be safer. As a result, he was short of blood medicine now. Well, let's take one step at a time. Lu Dao was helpless and shook his head. He didn't think about it anymore and didn't continue to practice. Don't be lazy, I'll go to the back mountain to check the firewood and come back. Lu Dao told the 2 guys and came to the back mountain alone. After taking out Zhongshang's body, Lu Dao put the iron armor on Zhongshang, hung him on a tree, used him as a sandbag, and then started boxing. Of course, each punch was very light, mainly for experience. Experience plus 100. Experience plus 100. Iron armor. 0/1,000,000 8th level lower grade, very strong defense, inputting chi and blood power, can form a shield on the body surface, can resist all ordinary attacks below the late stage of skin refining except for entry-level weapon attacks can be broken in the late stage of skin refining, but the remaining power is difficult to cause damage to you. The shield cannot resist attacks in the blood refining realm, suitable for group battles. Please note that the chi and blood consumption is quite large. It can actually protect the whole body. Lu Dao couldn't help but exclaimed. The upgraded iron armor has undoubtedly improved its defense ability by a large margin. Especially the shield, which makes up for the shortcomings of Lu Dao's iron armor, because this iron armor only has the upper body, and there is no protection for the lower body or the head. It is not as protective as armor. I didn't expect that after the upgrade, I actually had a shield that could protect the whole body. This is really a big surprise. Keep going. Then, Lu Dao took out his long sword and arrows and began to gain experience points from Zhongshang. While doing so, he cursed, I'll let you destroy my spiritual herbs, I'll let you destroy my spiritual herbs. I have Azure Dragon on my left and White Tiger on my right. No, it's a long sword on my left and an arrow on my right. One sword can earn 100 points. It's awesome. In the back mountain, Lu Dao used the long sword and arrows to earn experience points on Zhongshang's legs. In a short time, Zhongshang's thighs were bruised. Lu Dao had earned enough experience points with the long sword and arrows in his hands. Sword. 31/1,000,000 8th grade inferior. Even if it is an entry-level weapon of the 9th grade inferior, it can be easily cut off as grass. It can cut off entry-level weapons, so awesome. The introduction of the long sword surprised Lu Dao. Entry-level weapons are not simple, they are not ordinary things. There are several masters in the blood refining realm in Daifeng Town, but according to He Zongming, only the owner of the medicine shop has an entry-level weapon. Others don't have even half a piece. Even Zhongshang, the leader of the axe gang who has been doing evil for decades, doesn't have an entry-level weapon, which shows how rare this thing is. Lu Dao didn't expect that after his long sword was upgraded to the 8th level, it could easily cut off the 9th level inferior weapons. It was really powerful. Arrow, upgrade, arrow, 0/1,000,000 8th level inferior, can easily penetrate the 9th level superior armor. Even if wearing 8th level inferior armor, it can cause serious injuries. Yes, the lethality is too strong, and at this speed, I'm afraid that even the blood refining realm may not be able to dodge. Lu Dao put away the sword and arrow with satisfaction. He took a look at Zhang Shang's body, thought about it, dug a pit and buried him. After returning home, Lu Dao found that the two little guys were lying on the ground with no desire to live, and their eyes had lost their light due to exhaustion. Looking at the experience of the elixir again, he found that it had exceeded 10,000, and there was 1,000 more. Lu Dao laughed and said, "Okay, get up and eat the elixir to improve your qualifications." Hearing Lu Dao's words, the man and the dog stood up instantly, looking at Lu Dao with eyes like copper bells. "Here, one for each of you." Lu Dao distributed the upgraded dust removal pill to the two little guys. Wu Ming couldn't wait to swallow the pill, and the pill turned into a stream of clear water, flowing through his limbs. The itching in his body made Wu Ming couldn't help twisting his body. "Don't scratch, hold it." Lu Dao reminded him in time. Wu Ming obediently gritted his teeth and stood in the yard motionless, his face flushed, and he didn't twist again. The big black dog on the other side also lay on the ground obediently, quietly waiting for the body to transform. Fortunately, although there was only a 60% chance of success, the qualifications of the man and the dog were successfully improved. I have to say that luck is really good. All 3 dust removal pills worked. Brother Dao, it's true, I really feel the vitality of heaven and earth, they are like stars, floating around. Wu Ming shouted excitedly, and touched the invisible vitality of heaven and earth with his hands. Go take a shower and try practicing later. Okay. Wu Ming happily took a shower, washed off the dirt on his body, and then began to practice. Lu Dao also gave instructions: calm down, stand still, do you remember what the movements are? How to breathe? Brother Dao, I know, I have remembered it a long time ago. Wu Ming closed his eyes and carefully recalled the movements, breathing, and mooing of the barbarian bull body training exercise. Under Lu Dao's guidance, he began to practice. Moo. A quarter of an hour. 2/4 of an hour. Half an hour. Finally, Wu Ming vaguely sensed that a little bit of heaven and earth energy went into his body along his arm, and suddenly a warm feeling came from his arm. Wu Ming suppressed his excitement and continued to practice according to the current rhythm of movements and breathing, not wanting to interrupt his own practice rhythm. As Wu Ming immersed himself in practice, more and more heaven and earth energy gathered towards Wu Ming's body. Wu Ming felt as if he was taking a bath, very comfortable. However, after just a short while, this comfortable feeling disappeared. Because the surrounding heaven and earth energy was sucked out by him. Brother Dao, he's gone. Wu Ming couldn't help but feel a little depressed. Ba, 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 speak clearly, what Brother Dao is gone, Brother Dao is alive and well. Lu Dao rolled his eyes and said, in our ordinary place, the heaven and earth energy is thin, of course it is not enough for you to practice, you can use this for practice in the future. While speaking, Lu Dao took out a pile of porcelain bottles. All of them were found by him from the Axe Gang, and they were all potions used in the skin refining realm, with a total of hundreds of bottles. Wu Ming hesitated. Brother Dao, this is very valuable, right? Not worth it. Lu Dao wanted to say it was not worth it, but considering that if the little guy thought it was not worth it and gave it to someone else, he would lose money, so he said directly, 1 tael of silver per bottle, but Brother Dao can't use these, so I'll leave them for you to practice in the future. Remember to hide them well and don't let anyone know. Yeah, Brother Dao, you are so nice, thank you Brother Dao. Wu Ming nodded heavily. Okay, it's getting late, go back. Lu Dao sent Wu Ming away and said, remember to come and wash my chopsticks tomorrow. Okay Brother Dao, I'll come early tomorrow morning. Wu Ming went home happily with a large basin full of porcelain bottles. After Wu Ming left, Lu Dao looked at the big black dog that he had washed himself, feeling a little helpless. Although the big black dog's aptitude has improved, it's a pity that he can't practice. I don't know if there is a beast taming sect in this world, or I can buy a book on animal practice techniques. Lu Dao thought to himself that it was impossible for the big black dog to improve its strength for the time being, so he could only wait until later. After taking a look at the sky, Lu Dao did not do anything else and began to go back to the house to practice. As long as he refined 4 more bottles of blood medicine, Lu Dao could improve his cultivation to the middle stage of blood refining, which would only take more than 3 hours. Lu Dao decided to improve his cultivation tonight. After taking a bottle of blood medicine, Lu Dao soon immersed himself in cultivation. 1 bottle, 2 bottles, 3 bottles. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Time passed, the sky had already darkened, and it was soon late at night, almost dawn. Boom. Sitting cross-legged on the bed, Lu Dao felt the blood in his body trembling, and then he found that his blood seemed to have undergone some kind of transformation. The blood flowed faster and the concentration seemed to be higher, but it had no bad effect on the body. Lu Dao circulated his qi in blood and found that the power of qi in blood was even stronger, which was several times higher than that in the early stage of blood refining. What a powerful feeling! With this kind of blood and qi, if I meet Zhang Shang again, I can beat him to death with one punch. Lu Dao clenched his fists and felt very satisfied with his own strength. Next, Lu Dao practiced for a while to stabilize his own cultivation. When he was about to go to bed, he suddenly heard the barking of a big black dog. Woof woof woof. Someone is coming. Lu Dao frowned. It was late at night. How could someone come to his house? As soon as Lu Dao walked out of the room with the light on, he found a group of people running towards his yard with amazing speed. The three-headed wolf was running in front. Three-wolf gang. Lu Dao's eyes jumped when he saw this group of people. Although he didn't know anyone from the three-wolf gang, he knew the existence of this gang. The three-headed wolf was their symbol. I heard that the Axe gang had been secretly competing with the three-wolf gang recently. I didn't expect that he had just destroyed the Axe gang, and the three-wolf gang came to him again. After a little thought, Lu Dao understood why this group of people came to him. For the spiritual herbs. The three-wolf gang is a gang in the neighboring Rongxing town. Its status is similar to that of the Axe gang in Daifeng town, and it is even more cruel than the Axe gang. It is because of their 3 wolves. These 3 wolves are extremely large, taller than tigers, and no one knows how they were raised to grow so big. Moreover, their strength is also extremely strong. It is said that the strength of each wolf is stronger than that of the average late-stage skin-refining wolf. They have eaten many people and are a terrifying existence in Rongxing town. Kill. As soon as the group saw Lu Dao, they rushed over directly without any intention of talking. Lu Dao understood their plan after a little thought. Perhaps the people of the three-wolf gang thought that he had taken the spiritual herbs, and they did not want to mention this matter to prevent him from using the spiritual herbs as a threat to make them afraid to act rashly. Unfortunately, they underestimated Lu Dao. Run! Lu Dao roared, and with his body skills, he directly climbed over the wall and ran to the back mountain. The yard was too small for him to use his full strength, and he didn't want to destroy his yard because of the fight. The big black dog was smart. He knew that any one of the three-wolf gang, or even any wolf, could easily kill him, so he fled directly to the toilet. He decided that if anyone or a wolf chased him, he would jump into the toilet and survive in humiliation. Chase. The people of the three-wolf gang chased him without hesitation, and the 3 wolves also rushed directly to Lu Dao at a faster speed. They didn't even look at the big black dog. Follow the wind step. Lu Dao glanced at the 3 wolves, and without getting too entangled, he used the follow the wind step and soon came to the back mountain. Kai. The moment he returned to the back mountain, Lu Dao instantly took out the 8th level inferior longsword, turned around and slashed with a sword. The blade light was dazzling. Get out of the way. The other people of the three-wolf gang were shocked and shouted anxiously when they saw this. What a pity. With a puff, a wolf howled and screamed, and a wolf head soared into the sky, blood spilled in the sky. You are not in the early stage of blood refining, but in the middle stage of blood refining. And the entry-level weapon is wrong. The people of the three-wolf gang were shocked and angry. One of them, a sturdy man in his 50s, was the leader of the three-wolf gang, Zhao Anshan, and he said hatefully, "We have been deceived." The Axe gang was destroyed, and the news was notified to them by the people they arranged in Daifeng town. But the information that the person told them was that Lu Dao was only in the early stage of blood refining, and his weapon was also a 9th level middle grade weapon, and the iron armor was a 9th level upper grade weapon. After weighing the pros and cons, the three-wolf gang decided to give it a try. They chose to act late at night, originally intending to launch a sneak attack, but they were discovered by the big black dog, forcing them to confront Lu Dao head-on. Who would have thought that they would lose a wolf right at the beginning? And Lu Dao's information was completely wrong. How dare he? We poisoned him. This thought flashed through his mind, and he didn't have time to think deeply. Lu Dao had already pounced on another wolf. Almost in an instant, the wolf howled in fear, and before he could dodge, he was chopped to death and fell in a pool of blood. Stop it. The gang leader Zhao Anshan had to speak out to stop him, and hurriedly said, Brother Lu, this is all a mistake. Before he finished speaking, Lu Dao stopped the third wolf and chopped it down directly. Puff! A light sound made the 9 people of the 3-wolf gang feel cold all over. It was terrible. In just a few breaths, the 3 wolves that they were famous for all died in front of them. They didn't even pose a threat or harm to Lu Dao. They died so easily, as if they were not 3 wolves, but 3 mice. Brother Lu, what do you mean? I've already told you to stop, you. The gang leader Zhao Anshan's heart was bleeding, and he was about to say something in a deep voice, but Lu Dao roared directly, Stop it, all of you, die for me. While roaring, Lu Dao took out his armor and put it on, and instantly rushed into the crowd, killing people. They had already launched a sneak attack at night, wanting to kill him, and now that he is strong, they want to negotiate. There is no such good thing in the world. If it weren't for his cultivation level being improved, his weapons being upgraded, and the big black dog's qualifications being improved and his sense of smell being more acute, maybe he might really fall into the hands of this group of people. How could Lu Dao let the 3-wolf gang go? Kill, fight him. Escape, run away, we are not his opponent. As soon as Lu Dao rushed into the crowd, the 3-wolf gang was in chaos. Some people knew they couldn't escape, so they planned to die with Lu Dao, while others wanted to escape. In an instant, the 9 people who usually cooperated very well also turned into birds and beasts and flew away in front of Lu Dao's powerful strength. Puff, crack, several sounds rang out in succession, and in the blink of an eye, the 3-wolf gang lost 4 people. There were a total of 9 people in the 3-wolf gang. Except for the gang leader Zhao Anshan, who was in the early stage of blood refining, the others were all in the late stage of skin refining, and their strength was extremely powerful. Unfortunately, the attacks of the late stage of skin refining posed no threat to Lu Dao. Lu Dao rushed into the crowd, as if he was in an empty space. Facing several late stage of skin refining, he killed them all with a brutal sword without any extra movements. Even if the weapons were head-on, they were cut off by his 8th level inferior long sword. The only thing that needed to be distracted was to resist Zhao Anshan's attack. This person actually had a pair of 9th level inferior gloves with 5 sharp claws on his fingers. Escape, escape in different directions. After fighting for only a dozen breaths, the remaining people of the 3-wolf gang completely realized the reality. They were no match for Lu Dao and could only be slaughtered. If they didn't run away, they would never have any chance to escape again. In an instant, the remaining 5 people fled separately. Want to escape? Too late. Lu Dao snorted coldly, and performed the perfect state of following the wind step. He caught up with one person in an instant, and cut through with a knife, and the 2 bodies fell to the ground. Lu Dao didn't even look at him again, and his body didn't stop at all. In the blink of an eye, he caught up with another person, and with a puff of knife, he took another life. Ah! The shrill screams continued to sound in the back mountain, and they stopped abruptly as soon as they sounded. In less than 2 minutes, there was only one person whose legs were chopped off in the entire 3-wolf gang, and the gang leader Zhao Anshan was still alive. At this time, Zhao Anshan had already fled 3 miles away along the back mountain. Seeing that Lu Dao didn't chase him, Zhao Anshan couldn't help showing a look of surviving a disaster, and murmured, He didn't chase me anymore, I finally survived. The next moment, Zhao Anshan suddenly saw Lu Dao took out a bow and arrow, and his heart suddenly jumped. Feeling something was wrong, and his body instinctively rose with a great sense of crisis. But before he could react, swish, an arrow came from far away, as if it didn't take time, and suddenly reached his back. With a puff, it penetrated from the back and shot directly through his body. Zhao Anshan's body was dragged by inertia and fell to the ground, rolling for dozens of meters before stopping. Why is it an 8th level weapon again? Zhao Anshan was puzzled. Why did Lu Dao have so many entry-level items? This equipment is too luxurious. If they had known this earlier, they would never provoke Lu Dao. Unfortunately, there is no regret medicine in the world. The three-wolf gang had dominated Rongxing town for 30 years, but because of a spiritual herb, they were destroyed by this 17-year-old boy. With a heart full of resentment and unwillingness, Zhao Anshan twitched a few times, and then his soul flew away completely. After getting rid of the last person, Lu Dao was relieved. He did not rush to retrieve the arrow, but came to the man whose legs were cut off but not dead yet. Tell me, who betrayed me? Lu Dao was very angry. He eradicated the Axe Gang for Daifeng Town, but someone betrayed him. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was a wolf and a dog. Humph. This person was also tough. He looked at Lu Dao with hatred, and he looked like he wanted to eat his flesh alive. Lu Dao smiled lightly, and was not angry. He said, "You didn't seem to think that my cultivation was so high and my weapons were so good before." This sentence made this person's face change. I don't know what he thought of, and a strong resentment appeared on his face. Seeing this, Lu Dao continued, "I guess that man didn't tell you the truth, lied to you, and caused you to die in my hands. Now that's the case, you still want to hide it for that man." The man was silent for a moment, then he said, "His name is Fan Jian." Lu Dao asked curiously, "Why did he betray me? Do you have any leverage over him?" The man was silent and didn't answer. Lu Dao asked again, "How do you raise 3 wolves?" The man gritted his teeth and said nothing. Okay. Lu Dao didn't care and killed him with a knife. Since the three-wolf gang has a way to raise animals, other places must have it too, so he wasn't in a hurry. Lu Dao began to touch the corpse and put it away. However, these people didn't have anything on them, but Lu Dao found a piece of soft armor from the gang leader. Golden silk soft armor. It was just shot through by his arrow, and it didn't play much of a defensive role. This is good. Soft armor is definitely more comfortable than iron armor, and you don't need to take it off at ordinary times. But I don't know how to make this thing. It seems that I need to learn more in the future. I have to say, it is a pleasant surprise. What makes Lu Dao a little regretful is that he didn't find a way to raise animals from the leader of the three-wolf gang. There should be some in the three-wolf gang's lair. Lu Dao looked thoughtful and looked to the southwest. Lu Dao, where are the people from the three-wolf gang? As soon as Lu Dao cleaned up the battlefield, the mayor, He Zongming, and some other townspeople in the late stage of skin refining came to the back mountain anxiously. Just a glance, except for the bloodstains all over the ground, where is the trace of the three-wolf gang? Lu Dao chuckled and said, "There will be no three-wolf gang in the future." This faint sentence made everyone stare wide-eyed, looking at Lu Dao in shock, unable to say a word. From hearing the wolves cry to their appearance, the time was extremely short, less than half a quarter of an hour. In such a short time, the three-wolf gang, which was showing off its power in the surrounding area, just disappeared. It was like delivering it to Lu Dao to kill. And they also found that Lu Dao had no injuries on his body, and even the blood on his body was not his own. This is too easy. The mayor couldn't help but sigh. You are really young and promising. Daifeng Town is lucky to have you. Yes, young Master Lu is really gifted. He has reached the blood refining realm in a short time. He is not inferior to those geniuses from the sects. Not only has his cultivation improved quickly, but his combat power is also extremely powerful. He is definitely stronger than those geniuses. A group of people couldn't help but praise him. They were not flattering him hypocritically, but they really believed so. It was really that Lu Dao shocked them too much. Thank you for your help. Lu Dao would like to thank you. Lu Dao was very grateful that these people came so quickly. Although they didn't help, their thoughts were at least there. Everyone kept saying thank you. After Lu Dao thanked everyone, he looked at the mayor and said, "Mayor, it was Fan Jian who betrayed me. Please deal with it." It turned out to be him. This fool is really a traitor who even betrayed you. He is really ruthless. He was bullied by the Axe Gang before, but he even betrayed his benefactor. He is so cheap. Let's go, catch him, don't let him run away. A group of people were indignant. Lu Dao's eradication of the Axe Gang was a great favor to the entire Daifeng town. There were still people who betrayed him. He was simply courting death. Don't worry, leave this to me. The mayor took a group of people to catch Fan Jian, worried that he would run away. After all, the wolf's howl before was too miserable. If Fan Jian realized that the three-wolf gang could not beat him, he would flee from Daifeng town directly. He should not have run far at this time. But if he delayed for a while, it would be difficult to find him. You kid, you're really amazing. Everyone else left, but Zongming stayed behind, and couldn't help but ask curiously, your cultivation level has not improved again, has it? Senior is really sharp-eyed. Lu Dao didn't hide it either. After all, the speed at which he killed the three wolf gang was so fast that it was hard not to guess. Your talent is really exaggerated. Zongming sighed, then said goodbye and left. Lu Dao thought about it, dug out Zhang Shang's body and put it away, and then went home. Brother Dao, are you okay? Just as he walked to the gate of the courtyard, he heard Wu Ming's voice from the side, full of worry. Lu Dao smiled and said, it's okay, you go back to sleep. Well, okay, Brother Dao, you should go to bed early too. After Wu Ming glued the chopsticks for Lu Dao earlier, Lu Dao later warned Wu Ming to be careful to protect himself and not to do unnecessary things to avoid letting the enemy think that he could threaten Lu Dao. Therefore, although Wu Ming heard the noise early tonight and was extremely worried, he did not come out and could only pray silently for Lu Dao. After returning home, Lu Dao used his power to restore the blood and qi in his body, and then left the town overnight and headed for the Three Wolf Gang in the southwest. To Lu Dao's surprise, just about 5 miles away from the town, Lu Dao found several horses on the side of the road. Lu Dao guessed that they should be from the Three Wolf Gang, so he took one away and rode to Rongxing Town. Rongxing Town is more than 50 miles away from Dafeng Town. Lu Dao arrived after riding for half an hour. The Three Wolf Gang is different from the Axe Gang. The Axe Gang's lair is built in the town, while the Three Wolf Gang is built on the mountainside 1,000 meters away from Rongxing Town. It is a mountain stronghold. At this time, there was only one person guarding the mountain stronghold. Suddenly, a figure flashed by, and before this person could react, he was easily solved by Lu Dao. Lu Dao restrained his blood and qi and quietly climbed into the mountain stronghold. After searching for a while, he found that there were only some women and a few teenagers, and there were also a few people imprisoned in the dungeon. Apart from that, there was no one else. Obviously, the Three Wolf Gang went out in full force to kill him this time. Lu Dao quickly searched in the mountain village and soon collected all the valuables. At the same time, he also found a prescription for raising animals. Lu Dao searched for things without deliberately concealing them. The noise was very loud, which naturally alarmed the women and teenagers, but he didn't care and drove everyone out of the mountain village. After releasing the people in the dungeon, Lu Dao directly set the mountain village on fire, and at the same time threw all the bodies of the Three Wolf Gang and Zhang Shang into the fire. Burned together, the Three Wolf Gang was destroyed. The few people who were released from the dungeon looked a little dazed. Looking at the scene in front of them, they didn't come back to their senses for a long time. All this was too incredible, as if it was a dream. The previous moment they were still waiting in despair to be fed to the wolves by the Three Wolf Gang, and the next moment they had been rescued, and even the Three Wolf Gang was gone. Looking at the back of the boy who left, several people couldn't help but kneel down to thank him. Then, several people found that the women and boys who had not escaped far had hatred in their eyes. They dragged their tired figures and rushed over directly. Ah, spare my life, it has nothing to do with us, it's all their fault. Please let us go, we were forced. Hearing this, several people were furious and said, bullshit, you fool, you took the initiative to throw yourself into the arms of the surname Zhao in the early years. How many people have you harmed in these years, do you think I don't know? Go to hell. They knew clearly what evil these women had done, how could they let them go? Even those boys were not let go. They looked young, but they had killed many people and abused many women, all of whom deserved to die. Lu Dao looked back from a distance and stopped paying attention. He was not clear about the evil deeds of the other people in the Three Wolf Gang, so after releasing the people in the dungeon, he let them solve it themselves. If they were really forced, he believed that these people would not embarrass those women. In fact, these people are not worth letting go. Soon, Lu Dao entered Rongxing Town. He originally planned to stay in an inn, buy blood medicine after dawn and return to Dafeng Town. Unexpectedly, at this moment, the whole Rongxing Town was alarmed by the fire in the distance, and everyone got up to watch. Rongxing Town was brightly lit. Everyone was shouting and talking excitedly. God has eyes. The three wolf gang provoked people they shouldn't have provoked, and now they are completely destroyed. That's great. This group of people should have died long ago. I don't know who killed the three wolf gang, it's amazing. Boss, can I buy something now? Lu Dao ignored the discussions around him, and after asking, he quickly found the medicine shop. At this moment, the medicine shop only opened a small door. The boss was standing at the door looking at the burning village. He didn't seem to expect that someone would come to buy things at this time. He was stunned for a moment before reacting and said, "Okay, what do you want to buy?" Blood medicine for practicing in the blood refining realm, do you have any more?" The boss was shocked when he heard this. At first, he just felt that Lu Dao was unfamiliar and had never seen him in Rongxing town. Only now did he realize that the young man in front of him might be the one who wiped out the three wolf gang. This made the boss hesitate, worried that Lu Dao would rob him, but when he thought of Lu Dao's powerful strength, he could only bite the bullet and said, "Also, how many bottles do you want?" "How many do you have? I'll buy as many as you have." Hearing the word, buy, the boss breathed a sigh of relief and quickly opened the door of the shop to welcome Lu Dao in. A moment later, Lu Dao left the shop with 7 bottles of blood medicine. After Lu Dao left, the neighbor next to him asked curiously, "Who is that person? He looks a little unfamiliar." "I don't know him either, but he may be related to that place," the boss said, pointing to the raging fire in the mountain village in the distance. "Hiss, it's him. How can he be so young? He should be less than 20 years old. He can actually destroy the three wolf gang." The neighbor was shocked. The boss also sighed. Yes, he may be a genius disciple from a sect who came out to train. On the other side, Lu Dao quickly arrived at the entrance of Rongxing town. When he was about to use his skills to hurry on his way, he happened to meet several people coming out of the dungeon. When these people saw Lu Dao, regardless of their injuries, they kowtowed again in excitement to thank him. "Thank you for saving my life." "You're welcome, it's just a small favor." Lu Dao helped several people up, and then floated away in the eyes of everyone. This scene was seen by many people in Rongxing town, and they immediately rushed over and asked several people. "Thank God, you are all fine. Were you rescued by the young man just now? What is the specific situation of the three wolf gang? Are all the people dead? Who is that young man? Is he so powerful?" A middle-aged man looked at Lu Dao's departing back, frowning, and suddenly a figure appeared in his mind, and he immediately said, "That young man looks a bit like the son of an old friend of mine, Lu Wenchong's son, Lu Dao." "Lu Wenchong, is he the blacksmith in Daifeng town?" "Yes, it's a pity that he died early, otherwise he would be very relieved to have such a son." "Lu Dao, you're finally back. I thought something had happened to you." As soon as Lu Dao returned home with his horse, he found the mayor and others waiting anxiously in the yard with a man, their faces full of worry and even panic. Not until he saw Lu Dao coming back did he completely put his mind at ease. The mayor asked, "Lu Dao, where have you been? We were scared to death." Lu Dao smiled and said, "I went to Rongxing town." Hearing this, the mayor guessed, "Did you go to burn the three wolf gang again?" The word, again, made Lu Dao stunned for a moment, and he laughed awkwardly and said, "Haha, since the three wolf gang wants to kill me, of course I can't let them go. Well, this gang of people should be killed just like the Axe gang." The mayor didn't say much, but instead agreed with Lu Dao's approach. Then he pulled a very thin middle-aged man in front of Lu Dao and said, "This man is Fan Jian. What do you think we should do with him? Why did you betray me?" Lu Dao asked in a deep voice. Fan Jian had been beaten up a long time ago. Seeing Lu Dao asking, in order to survive, he hurriedly said, "I took poison under the coercion of the three wolf gang. I need to take the antidote regularly to survive. I was also forced. Please spare my life, Mr. Lu." Antidote. Lu Dao searched in the system space for a while, and quickly took out a bottle and took out the white powder inside. "Are you talking about this?" Yes, that's it." When Fan Jian saw the antidote, he was excited and couldn't help but pounce on Lu Dao to snatch it, but was kicked over by Lu Dao. Fan Jian didn't care. He got up and knelt in front of Lu Dao and said, "Mr. Lu, please save me. From now on, my life belongs to you. I am a dog of Mr. Lu. You tell me to go east, I will never go west." Lu Dao looked at Fan Jian with a smile, and then threw the bottle to him. Lu Dao, you. Others were very puzzled when they saw this, and couldn't help but want to stop him, but Lu Dao shook his head and didn't say anything. Thank you, Mr. Lu, thank you. Well, from now on, I will be your dog. Fan Jian took the bottle and swallowed all the antidotes in a hurry. Soon he felt his body become relaxed, and the poison in his body was completely solved. Thank you, Mr. Lu, thank you, Mr. Lu. Fan Jian knelt on the ground, thanking Lu Dao for saving his life. Lu Dao smiled faintly. Your life is mine now, right? Yes, Fan Jian's life will be yours in the future, Mr. Lu. Fan Jian was very excited. It felt good to be alive. Even if he was a dog of Lu Dao, he was willing. At least it was much more comfortable than working for the Three Wolf Gang. Especially since Lu Dao was already in the blood refining realm at a young age, he dared not imagine how high he would be in the future. Following such a person, even if he was rewarded with a bone in the future, it would be enough to save him a lot of trouble. Just imagining the future, he suddenly felt a pain in his heart. He looked down and saw a chopstick piercing his heart. Young Master Lu, why? Why? Fan Jian's excitement had not yet faded. He looked at Lu Dao blankly, not understanding why Lu Dao wanted to kill him. He had already planned to follow Lu Dao. Lu Dao said lightly, no one can betray me and still live well. Lu Dao would never forgive betrayal. If such a person could betray once, he would betray countless times. Even if he was doing it for his own life, he only had one life, not more than others. Since he chose to betray him and exchange his life for his own, Lu Dao would do it himself and end his life. In this chaotic world, Lu Dao would not repay evil with kindness. Yes, it is not a pity for such a person to die. The mayor and others all approved of Lu Dao's approach. They originally thought that Lu Dao lacked experience and would be merciful and let Fan Jian go. They did not expect such a reversal. Lu Dao saved Fan Jian and then killed him. It seemed unnecessary, but the shrewd mayor understood that Lu Dao had his own set of principles, his own way of doing things and his own moral standards. Such a person will not suffer any loss in the future, nor will he get into trouble for no reason. At the same time, such a scene also made everyone understand that when getting along with Lu Dao in the future, they must never deceive him and treat him with sincerity. Thank you all for running around for Lu Dao so late at night and delaying everyone's rest. These things are given to everyone. It's not a respect, but I hope you will accept them. Lu Dao took out dozens of bottles of potion and gave them to everyone, which were searched from the Three Wolf Gang. We didn't help much, Lu Dao, you are too polite. Everyone refused, and they were really embarrassed to accept it. Lu Dao is very grateful for everyone's coming. Lu Dao smiled and said, besides, these are all looted from the Three Wolf Gang, without spending a penny. I don't need them now, so just accept them. Hearing Lu Dao's words, everyone stopped refusing and accepted them one after another, saying that they could always find them if they needed any help in the future. Lu Dao returned safely, and everyone did not stay for long and dispersed one after another. Lu Dao tied the horse in the yard, took a shower, and went back to the house to sort out the harvest tonight. First of all, silver. After looting the Three Wolf Gang, Lu Dao got 2,500 taels of silver, and then spent 700 taels on blood medicine. Then there were potions, more than 100 bottles. Obviously, the group of people in the late stage of skin refining in the Three Wolf Gang wanted to break through to the blood refining realm as soon as possible. Then there were blood medicines, 11 bottles. Among them, Lu Dao had 2 bottles left over from his previous practice, and then he found 2 more bottles from the Three Wolf Gang, and finally bought 7 bottles from the pill shop in Rongxing Town, adding up to 11 bottles. Finally, there is gold silk armor, recipes for raising animals, some jewelry, and a lot of iron. This harvest made Lu Dao very satisfied. This can be regarded as a windfall, brought to my doorstep by the Three Wolves Gang. This prescription. Lu Dao looked at the prescription in his hand, feeling helpless. He found that the medicinal materials were not expensive and very cheap, but the prescription stated that once the prescription was taken, flesh and blood needed to be swallowed. The more the better, the deeper the blood and qi, the greater the improvement to the beast. Lu Dao doesn't have much flesh and blood for the big black dog to eat now. We can only wait until later. After reading the prescription, Lu Dao picked up the blood medicine again. It took 5 bottles of blood medicine to upgrade from the early stage of blood refining to the middle stage of blood refining. I don't know how many bottles are needed to go from the middle stage to the later stage of blood refining. It should be 10 bottles, right? Thinking like this, Lu Dao began to slowly fall asleep. Early the next morning, before dawn, Lu Dao got up early again and started practicing. For Lu Dao, who is already in the middle stage of blood refining, he does not need to rest for a long time in a day. 1 or 2 hours is enough. After taking a bottle of blood medicine, Lu Dao sat cross-legged on the bed and devoted himself to training to refine the medicine's effect. In less than an hour, Lu Dao had completely refined the blood medicine. As he had guessed, Lu Dao calculated that with 9 more bottles of blood medicine, he could be promoted. It seems that I can advance to the late stage of blood refining tonight. Lu Dao was very happy, but at the same time he felt a sense of reluctance in his heart. Being promoted to the late stage of blood refining meant that he was not far away from leaving Daifeng town. After all, when he runs out of these blood medicines, it will take at least 10 days before he can buy them, and the blood medicines purchased are not enough to advance him to the bone forging realm. Lu Dao didn't want to waste too much time, so he had no choice but to leave Daifeng town as soon as possible and enter Mufeng City, the county seat of Mufeng County. Oh, let's practice. On this day, Lu Dao did nothing else except eat and practice. Lu Dao did not cook by himself, but was invited by Wu Ming's parents to eat at his house. The sun rises and the moon sets. Soon it was dusk. A beautiful woman dressed in colorful clothes and full of charm came to Daifeng town after a long journey. Uncle, how can I get to Lu Dao's house? The woman in colorful clothes has an excellent figure. The places where flesh should be fleshy are bulging high, and the places where flesh should not be are round and round. She has a beautiful face and a hint of charm between her eyebrows, which is charming. The woman's voice was also tingling. When she heard it, it made people feel unbearable, and they would subconsciously answer her questions. After entering the town, walk to the right, near the back mountain. The blacksmithing yard at the end is his home. As soon as the old man in the town heard what the woman in colorful clothes said, he looked at her longingly and casually told her the address of Lu Dao's home. He watched the woman's leaving back and followed her 2 steps reluctantly. As a result, his legs and feet were not flexible, he tripped and fell to the ground. Only then did the old man come back to his senses and blamed himself very much. What happened? This witch plotted against me. Lu Dao is in danger. Only, the figure of the woman in colorful clothes had already disappeared from the street, and it was obviously too late to notify Lu Dao. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.